Right. So let us start now. Come on, focus now. So we'll commence now. So we have successfully completed the introduction chapter. We are going to tackle most important chapter in a simple chapter from the exam. But even though it is very simple, most important. So that chapter we are going to discuss now, which is supply under GST. So if you remember the discussion, am I audible? I think sound is not coming from the mic or coming. Is it coming? Coming only. Now is it okay? So as we have discussed in the previous chapter itself, the event which will make the government come and impose a GST is what? Supply. So supply is something which is a taxable event. There is no supply, no GST. So in this chapter, what we are going to learn is which activities constitute supply. When we can call an activity supply, when an activity will be treated as supply, which transactions will not be treated as supply, all that details are going to happen. And as I've told, every chapter we are going to sections of the CG Act. In this chapter also, we are going to learn two sections of the CG Act. One is section number 7. 90% of the discussion is section number 7 only. Once we are done with that section number 7, then we have section 8. Very limited discussion regarding section 8 we are going to have. Simply we are going to learn composite supply, mix it, how to decide taxability. That's what we are going to learn. But major discussion 7 only. Supply, what is what is. So if you remember, before we go to that section number 7 talking about supply, once again, let us have a recap of definition of GST. Come on, tell me what is the definition of GST? The tax on supply of goods or services or both, except taxes on alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So first, before we can understand supply, it becomes necessary for us to understand what do you mean by goods, what do you mean by services. Why? Because before supply should come into picture, first there should be goods or services. So we will try to understand now what is the meaning of the goods, what is the meaning of the services. So if we look at the definition of the good, they have defined the term goods as every kind of movable property. Every kind of movable property. Now what is movable property? If you look at the definition of property, they say something like which is other than immobile property. Then what is immobile property? Other than movable property. So that loop is never going to end, right? So we have to define something. So actually the term immobile property has been not under GST Act, but under some other laws they have defined the term General Clauses Act. Okay. So under the General Clauses Act, immobile property has been defined. So immobile property has been defined something like this. When I say immobile property, it includes land. Land is a immobile property and benefits arising out of land. What do you mean by benefits arising out of land? I have a piece of land. That land I am giving it on or rental, whatever you. So that also will not come under goods. Basically, that comes under immobile property. So what is coming under immobile property, that will not fall under goods definition. So land, benefits arising out of land, things attached to or forming part of the land. What do you mean by things attached to or forming part of the land? Trees, you say naturally, which are attached to the land. So like trees you take or this crops. So these also will fall under immobile property definition. And not just that, they say things which are permanently fastened to the earth. What do you mean by permanently fastened to the earth? Those things which are not naturally coming or forming part of the earth, which are artificially but permanently fastened to the earth. Like building is not something which is coming out of land naturally. We have permanently fastened it. Telephone tower, electric pole, plant and machinery. So all these are examples of the things which are permanently fastened to the earth. So basically immobile property covers four things: land, benefits arising out of land, things which are attached to or forming part of the land, or things which are permanently fastened to the earth. So these will come under immobile property definition. So when I say these as immobile property definition, they will not come under movable property, they will not fall under goods. So these things are not goods. Apart from that, whatever movable property is that. So this chair, movable from one place to another. Motor vehicle, movable from one place to another. This laptop, movable from one place to another place. So every kind of movable property will fall under goods definition. But however, goods does not include money and securities. money will not be considered as goods. Say for example, I am giving 10,000 to you. Am I making supply? No. I'm making supply. Am I supplying goods to you? No. So money will not come under goods definition. When securities also will not come under goods definition. What do you mean by securities? Shares, bond, whatever you call it. So even that also will be goods definition. And we need to understand the term money in a bit detailed manner. So when I say money, the term money is a very broader definition. Money includes Indian legal tender money. Nothing but money which is currently is in circulation. Like 100 rupees, have 500, have 10 rupee notes, have 20 rupee notes, we have coins we have which are in circulation, that will fall under money definition. Not just that, any foreign currency, US dollars we have, Canadian dollars we have, UK pounds we have, that also will form part of currency definition. Check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, draft, DD, pay order, traveler check, money order, poster, electronic form. These are all nothing but different forms of money. So legal tender money, foreign currency, or any of this form of currency like check, promissory note, demand draft, traveler check, anything, all this will form part of money definition. Or any other instrument recognized by RBI is used as a consideration to set an obligation. But however, the most important thing is they say it shall not include any currency that is held for its numismatic value. You are holding any, not for the purpose of exchange, not for the purpose, but you are keeping its numismatic value because of its intrinsic value. Like we have some people have the hobby of collection, collect the old coins that are currently not in circulation. Like for example, a person is there who is having some coin which is used in India during the British Empire. So that is a currency at that point of time, but now it is not currency. You are not keeping it for settlement, you are keeping it for the purpose of its numismatic value. That currency will not fall under money definition. If it is not falling under money definition, that becomes goods. So I have that British Empire coin, so that I am giving it to you for 10,000 rupees. Am I supplying goods? Yes, I am supplying. Understood? So money does not include money does not include currency held for its numismatic value. Since it is excluded from the money definition, that will fall under goods definition. Next. However, the goods also includes actionable claims. So what do you mean by actionable? The term actionable claim definition is very confusing, but I will tell you in one second. Actionable claim means the claim on which you can have a right to take an action. So basically, unsecured debt will fall under actionable. So like for example, if I have given money to you, I have sold goods to you, okay, without any security. I have sold goods to you, you are required to pay me some money. I have a right to collect that money from you, which is not secured. So that will fall under actionable claim. On the other hand, say for example, bank has given a loan against a security. They have taken the house as a mortgage and have given the loan. Can that fall under actionable claim definition? Not fall under actionable claim. So a right in unsecured debt, that only will fall under actionable claim definition. Not just that, they say one more thing. Any beneficial interest in the movable property which is currently not in your possession. Don't go into the other part of the definition. Just we will stick it to here. So what is that? Beneficial interest in immovable property. Sorry, movable property. Basically, what will come under this category is lottery, insurance policies. So if I have to give you some other way, if I have to give one example in other way, say for example, okay, I will tell you this way. Say for example, there is a person who sold some goods. Person Mr. to Mr. B. Goods are still not in your possession. You are yet to get the delivery of the goods. Now, as a person Mr. B, you have a right of possession of that movable goods, but they are currently not in your possession. They are currently not in your possession, but you have a right of claim in that movable property. That right, whatever you are having, that also will fall under actionable claims. Understand? So this much you remember. Actionable claim means unsecured debt, and also actionable claim means any beneficial interest in the movable property which is currently not in your possession. You don't have possession of it, but you have a beneficial interest in that property. So even actionable claims also will fall under goods definition. So when I am transferring an actionable claim, I am making supply of goods. The transaction will attract GST. Clear everybody till here? So repeat everyone. And one more thing, sorry, goods definition is not yet completed. We have one more extended part. Growing crops, grass, or things attached to or forming part of the land which are agreed to be severed before supply or under a contract of supply. What they are trying to say is, see, grass or crops are something which are permanently attached, which are actually forming part of the earth. But if I am entering into a contract where I agree to supply that grass or I agree to supply crops, and if I am agreeing to sever it, severing it means what? If I am agreeing to cut it before making a supply, then even that also will form part of goods. One simple example I will tell you. Have you watched Pushpa movie? What allergen will do there? Sandalwood he will sell, no? So he is selling sandalwood. Nothing but trees he is selling. Crop he is selling. Goods or not? Are they goods or not? That sandalwood is nothing but part of the tree only, no? He is selling that goods. He is selling that tree. Is it a good or not good? It's a good. Why it's a good? Because he agreed to sever it, no? Before making a supply, he will not sell that land, right? So he has agreed to cut that tree and then supply it. So that will form part of goods definition only. So growing grass, crops, or whatever it is, things attached to or forming part of the earth, which are agreed to be severed, which are agreed to be cut before making the supply. Sever means separating before making the supply. That also will form part of goods definition. Yeah, able to understand? See, on the other hand, say for example, what Pushpa is doing is growing that trees. Along with the land, he is selling the trees. Land is there, no? That land, trees are there. Along with the land, he is selling the trees. Then it is not good. Why? Because it will form part of immovable property definition. Why? Because he is not agreeing it to separate it, sever it before making the supply. Then it will not fall under goods definition. Able to understand? Clear and comfortable? Right. So come on, repeat everybody. What is the meaning of the goods? Goods means every kind of movable property, but it does not include money and securities. However, currency held for its numismatic value, not falling under money definition. If it is not falling under money definition, it will fall under, and it includes actionable claims or growing crops, grass, and things attached to or forming part of the land which are agreed to be severed before making a supply or under a contract of supply. Clear? Services. Then now what is service? They say that anything other than goods, money, and security fall under services. That means if you pay close attention here, money and securities either fall under goods definition, the services definition. Similarly, if something is not falling under goods, that will fall under services. However, they have told one thing here. Money is not good, not services, but activities relating to use of money. Activities relating to use of money. They say two things here. Activities relating to use of money or conversion of money from one form to another form, one denomination to another denomination, one currency to another currency, for which a separate consideration is charged. So here they say two things here. Two things they are trying to say here. Let us try to understand them in a detailed manner. Say for example, there is a person, Mr. A. I have 1 lakh rupees. One day my friend came to me and asked, boss, I want money. I want that 1 lakh rupees. I need some urgent money. I need that 1 lakh rupees. Please give it to me so that I can use it. I told to my friend, okay, take this 1 lakh rupees with you, use it. Once you are done with your usage, give it back to me. I gave 1 lakh rupees. I am collecting back 1 lakh rupees. Am I making any supply? That fall under services? No. On the other hand, say for example, I gave that 1 lakh rupees of money to my friend and I told use it. But since I am giving that money for you to use, I need a separate consideration in the form of interest. So you pay me back that 1 lakh rupees along with that 10,000 rupees of interest. Now, fall under services. It's 10,000 rupees. So if you are giving money for use to another person, for which if you are charging a separate consideration. So I am giving money for use, but for which I am not charging any separate consideration. Just whatever money I have given, that I am getting back. I am not charging any separate consideration. No service. But in case if you are giving money for use, for which you are charging a separate consideration, that will be considered as. Not just that, if you are converting the money from one form to another form. Say for example, I have some 1 lakh rupees of money. I went to the bank and I converted that into a DD. Converted money of cash form to DD form. So bank told, okay, we will convert that DD for you, but DD conversion charges they have collected from me some 500 rupees. Supply of service is happening. Yes. Why? Because money is converted from one form to another form, for which they have charged me a separate consideration. Or I am changing it from one denomination to another denomination. Say for example, I have 1 lakh rupees of money. I went to the bank and told, please convert it into US dollars. Both are two currencies. From one currency to another currency I'm changing, but for which this this forex dealer has told, okay sir, I will convert that for you, but I need 2% commission, for which he is charging a separate consideration. Will that become supply of service? Yes. And not just that, if I'm converting money from one denomination to another denomination, say for example, I have some 100 500 rupee notes at 50,000 rupees, so I want to convert them into 10 rupee notes or 20 rupee notes, whatever may be the purpose. So one person told, okay, I will convert your 500 rupee notes of denomination into 10 or 20 rupees of denomination, but for which I need some 500 rupees of consideration extra. That fall under services? Yes. Most important thing here, when you are giving the money for you person, for which you are charging a separate consideration, or you are converting the money from one form to another form, one denomination to another denomination, one currency to another currency, but for which separate consideration should have been charged. Not just that, regarding securities also they have told, and to activities relating to facilitation, it was clarified that the expression services include facilitating or arranging transactions in securities. Arranging or facilitating the transactions is that also falling under services. Securities will not fall under services definition, but the activities of arranging or facilitating that securities, the transactions in securities, that will fall under supply of a service. To whom they are referring to? Stockbrokers are referring. Stockbrokers have angel have. So what these people will do, they will give you a platform, a broking platform. They will give it. Using that broking platform, you can buy or sell the securities. Say for example, you purchase some 1 lakh worth of securities, or you sold some 1 lakh worth of shares. You are having Reliance shares amounting to 1 lakh rupees, that you sold it to another person, for which you received consideration of 1 lakh rupees. So you tell me, on that will GST come? No. On that 1 lakh rupees of transaction value in securities, GST will not come. But for making that transaction, Zerodha has given you platform. So for making that sale through their platform, they have collected from you some 1,000 rupees in the form of brokerage, in the form of commission, in the form of some demat charges. Will that be considered as services? Yes. On that will GST come? Yes. Yeah. So this is what regarding services definition. So come on, repeat everybody. What is the services definition? Anything other than goods, money and securities. However, it includes activities relating to use of money or conversion of money from one form to another form, one currency to another currency, one denomination to another denomination, for which you are charging a separate consideration. That will fall under services. Similarly, the activities of facilitating or arranging for transactions in securities, that also will fall under services definition. So we understood what is goods, what is services. Now, once we have goods and services, as I've told, just having the goods and services alone will not be enough for the government to come and trigger GST. So there need to be one activity, one taxable event has to take place. What is the taxable event? Supply has to take place. Now, which transactions will fall under supply, which transactions will not fall under supply, that has been covered under section number 7. In section number 7, we have various subsections and clauses we have. So first we will start about section 7 subsection 1. So section 7 subsection 1 has multiple clauses. In each of the clause they have explained which activities will fall under by definition. So first we will start with section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Subsection 1 clause A, where they say that if there are goods or service, and if there is any form of supply, all forms of supply, they say all forms of supply will be included, and there should be consideration. There should be what? Consideration. It should be in the course or furtherance of business. In the course or furtherance of business. All these conditions satisfied. Activity considered. On clause A, 4 conditions. What are they? First, there should be goods or services or both, and some form of supply should take place. So when I say some form of supply, what could be the different forms of supply? It could be a sale, it could be a transfer, it could be barter, it could be exchange, it could be license, it could be lease, rental, and disposal. Any form of supply it could take place. And the list here is not an exhaustive list. This is what? Just an illustrative list. These are forms of supply. Any other similar kind of supply also could be there, but some form of supply should take here. So goods or services must be there. Either they should be sold, transferred, barter, or they could be exchanged, or even they could be leased out, rented out, licensed out, or in any other manner they are disposed. So all these forms, whenever they are taking place, those all will be considered as supply. But the condition is there must be consideration. What do you mean by consideration? Something in return. You should get something in return, and that consideration need not always be in money. Consideration need not be always a monetary consideration. If you take barter transactions, in barter transactions, exchange transactions, only monetary consideration will not be there. Non-monetary consideration also will be there. So no, I went to a laptop vendor. I purchased a laptop from him. He came to know that I am a chartered accountant. He told me, sir, I don't want money for this laptop, but I am facing a GST litigation. Please solve that GST litigation for me. Have I made a supply of service? Yes. Why? Because you made a service, but in return you did not get monetary consideration, but you got consideration in a non-monetary format. So consideration is required. That could be in monetary, that could be in non-monetary, doesn't matter, but consideration is. And whatever activity I am doing, that should be in the course or furtherance of my business. In the course or furtherance of my business. So either it should be related to my business, or it should be for the advancement of my business, whatever supply I am doing. Then only that transaction will qualify as supply. Understand? Now let us try to understand some regarding the course or furtherance of the business. Okay. So say for example, you all have purchased the book set. You have given your exam. You qualified your CA. Whatever books you have is are looking like a burden for you. Okay. All that book. What your mother has done is, I don't know that thing happens here. But at our place, no, that onion vendor will come. What he will do is collect his own and collect old articles and give us onions. So does that happen here? That will not happen here. So this is quite popular at our place. That's will come. They will an auto full of onions and they will make an announcement in the mic. So if you have any old articles, go and to them. They will give. So what my mom used to do is, whenever my exams gets complete, we will have a pile of books. So she will be waiting for that onion vendor to give her, him or her. So say for example, you are such a student, you have all your books left, your exams are done. One day onion vendor came, gave all that books to them, they gave the onions. Barter transaction is happening, consideration is there, goods are also there. Will it be a supply? Are you required to pay the GST? Not required. Why? Because it is not in the course or furtherance of business. Okay. Joy Alucas is that they are selling the jewelry to their customers. Will it be considered as supply? Yes. Why? Because goods are there, getting sold, form of supply is there, consideration is there in the course or furtherance of business. Some old lady is there. She is having some old jewelry. She has to meet her expenses. So whatever old jewelry she is having, she has sold that jewelry and got money for that. Will it be considered as supply? Why? Goods are there. Some form of supply has taken place. Consideration is there, but it is not in the course or furtherance of business. To understand. Just give me one more example. I have one car. I have one personal car. I'm using it for my purposes, for my personal purpose. I want to change that car. I sold my old car. Sold my old car and got the money for that. Will that be considered as supply? Why? Because goods are there. Some form of supply is there. Consideration is there, but it is not in the course or furtherance of business. It can't be called as supply. A company is there. They have purchased a plant and machinery. They are using it for their business purposes. That plant and machinery, they are selling it. It has become old and outdated, and that plant and machinery, they are selling it. Will that be considered as supply? Yes, that will be considered. Why? Because goods are there, supply is happening, consideration is there, and that is in the course or furtherance of business. Why? Because the old machinery, when they sell it out, then only they can buy the new one. Understand? Clear and comfortable? A company is generating a scrap along with the manufacturing, along with the main product. They are generating a lot of scrap. That scrap they have disposed of. They called one tender and disposed of that scrap. Whoever is willing to pay the highest price to that vendor, they have given it off. Will that be considered as supply? Wastage of sale of scrap by a company, will that be considered as supply? Yes. Why? Because that is also in the course or furtherance of business only. Clear? So furtherance, course or furtherance of the business is very, very important. Understood? So when all these four conditions, in order to qualify as supply under section 7 clause A, how many conditions are required to be fulfilled? Four conditions. What are they? Repeat everyone. Goods must be there, services must be there, or both must be there. Some form of supply should have taken place. There should be consideration, and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Understood? Clear and comfortable, everybody? And so this is what section 7 subsection 1 clause A says. Then we have this is one activity which will qualify as supply. Then we have one more. Section 7 subsection 1 clause A. 7 subsection 1 clause A is there, which is saying one more activity will be treated as supply. More activity will be treated as supply. So what they have done is any activities or transactions which have been performed by a person other than individual, to its members or constituents, or vice versa, for a consideration or for a deferred payment or a deferred consideration, whatever it is. Those activities, you read the provision, that will sound little bit clumsy, but if I put it in a proper perspective, this is what it looks like. Take you to that provision. See here. So what they have told. So activities or transactions involving the supply of goods or services between a person, like an example association club, and its members and constituents for cash, deferred payment, or some other valuable consideration are considered as same thing, only I have put it in a diagram perspective. If a person other than individual, they are providing any activities or transactions involve supply of to its own members or constituents, or vice versa. That means members are providing the goods or services to the person other than individual, then it also will be as supply. So what do you mean by this? Say for example, there are a group of people. There are a group of people who came forward and created a club. 10 people come forward and created a club. Now what they are doing is they are paying monthly membership fees to the club, and in return, club is providing them some services. Like inside the club, they have a restaurant. In that restaurant, they can enjoy the food and they have some recreational activities. Now GST officer, what he told is, hey, this club is providing the goods for a consider. You have to pay GST. But people started arguing, hey boss, this club is created by whom? Us members only. So this club is nothing but we collectively all put together, we will be called as club. So club and members both are one and the same. Club and members both are one and the same. So it is nothing but when I am supplying goods from club to its members, it is just like a good is moving from this hand to this hand. Both the hands are belonging to me only. How can you come and impose a GST on that? And even there was a Supreme Court judgment favoring this decision. When there was a Supreme Court judgment favoring this, which told that yes, members and its constituent, the person and its constituents both are one and the same. There is a Supreme Court judgment also. So people are not paying GST on that. Now government want to override this. Even Supreme Court judgment also they want to override. What they have done, they have introduced in section 1 clause AA, they have introduced it, and they told that remember the main summary of this provision is, the main outcome of this provision is, these people other than individuals and their constituents are no longer considered as equal person. They are treated as two different persons, and if any supply of goods or services happening between them, vice versa, from anywhere around, from the person to the individual constituent it is going, or from constituents to the person it is going, for which there must be consideration. Here also what is required? Consideration is required. Here also what is required? Consideration is required. Then even overruling the Supreme Court judgment also, even Supreme Court judgment favor protection also you can't take here. This activity we are specifically treating it as supply, and you will be required to pay GST on that. Understood what section 1 clause A says? We have seen two activities. Subsection 1 clause A, section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Then we have section 7 subsection 1 clause B, which says that if you are importing services, for a consideration, and you are paying consideration for that, whether or not in the course or furtherance of the business, doesn't matter. Here for 7 sub 1 clause B, you have imported the services, and for that import of the services you are paying consideration, whether that importing of the services is in the course of furtherance of the business or not related to your business, it doesn't matter. That transaction will be considered as supply, and on that GST will come. Which means, say for example, there is a person who is in India. Okay, issue myself, I'm in India. So I want to construct one office. I have an office. So I know a person who is an architect. Very famous architect is there, is in US. So I called that. I reached out to that architect and I told, boss, for my office building, I need one excellent plan. He told, okay, I will give you a plan. He gave me the plan also. Am I importing the services? Yes. He asked me to pay $1,000 of consideration. I paid also. I paid consideration also. $1,000 of consideration I have paid. And I have imported the services for a consideration. For my business or not? Yes. I'm a chartered accountant. For my office building, I needed a plan. So will this activity will be considered as supply? Yes, this activity will be considered as supply. On this $1,000, you have to convert it into INR. So on that, applicable rate of GST required to be paid or not required to be paid? Yes, it will be required to be paid. Say for example, let me change the little facts here. I am a chartered accountant residing in India. I want to construct my home. So I needed a beautiful plan for my home. So I went to an architect who is in US. I told him, boss, I need a plan for my home. He told, okay, boss, I will give it. So he gave the plan. Now I am paying $1,000 to him for the purpose of that consideration. So I am importing the services. Yes or no? Is there a consideration? Is it in the course or furtherance of my business? No. Will it qualify as supply? Yes, it will qualify as supply. On that GST will come? Yes, GST will come. Clear and comfort. If you have imported the services, from whom you are importing doesn't matter, and you have paid consideration. So then whether you are using it for the purpose of business or not using it for the purpose of the business, all of these things that doesn't matter, you are required to pay. But here there is one problem. This transaction is attracting GST, but in normal circumstances what will happen? You are a customer, you are buying some good or service from a supplier. Generally how the GST mechanism will work? You purchase once. I'm a chartered accountant here, you are my client. Okay, you came to me and told, sir, please file a GST return for me. I filed a GST return. I told fees is 5,000. What I will do? I'm a registered person. What I will do? 5,000 plus 18% GST, 900. 5,900 I will say. So how much you will pay to me? 5,900 you will pay. What I should do? 5,000 I will keep in my pocket. 900 rupees I have to go and deposit with the government. In normal circumstances, supplier will collect the amount of GST from the recipient and deposit that GST amount with government. The government has put the burden of collecting and paying the GST on whom? On the supplier. But you tell me, will that mechanism work in this case? Supplier collecting the GST and depositing that with the Indian government, will that mechanism work here? This is a transaction. Who is the supplier? Architect. Who is in where? US. Can the Indian government impose a responsibility on that US architect to collect the amount of GST from the resident in India and deposit it with the Indian government? Even though he has collected and he has not deposited with the Indian government, is there any way the government can collect it from that person? Can they force that person? Can they take action on that person? So now it is not possible for the government to go by the regular method to collect the amount of GST. Whatever regular method which I told you as a chartered accountant, or when you go and purchase the goods, you pay the amount of GST to the supplier. Supplier will have the burden on his head to deposit that amount of GST to the government. That we generally call it as forward charge mechanism. What do we call it? Forward charge mechanism. But is that forward charge mechanism applicable here? Is it practically feasible here? Is the government can the government collect it here without any hindrances? So in these cases, it will not be permissible. It will not be possible for the government to collect tax under forward charge mechanism. In these kind of circumstances, they have brought up a concept called reverse charge mechanism, where the recipient only will go and deposit the amount of GST with government. Say for example, $1,000. When I convert that into INR, it is coming to some 80,000 rupees. Now on this 80,000 rupees, the government told this service will get covered under reverse charge mechanism. So on this 80,000 rupees, say for example, applicable rate of GST 8,000 rupees, 10%, 8,000 rupees amount of GST. Normal forward charge mechanism, what should have done? 88,000 I should have paid to the architect. Architect should have paid 8,000 to the government. But that is not quite possible. So what the government has told is, boss, dear recipient, you do one thing. You pay only the value of the goods or services, the supplier. How much? 80,000 only you pay to the architect. But whatever amount of GST which you should have paid to the supplier, you don't pay to the supplier. That amount of GST you directly come and deposit with us. So this we call it as a reverse charge mechanism, where a recipient will have an obligation on his head to go and deposit the amount of GST with government. To understand. But if you pay close attention, the person depositing the government is bearing the burden of the taxation is, even in the forward charge mechanism, even in the reverse charge mechanism, the ultimate tax burden hands of the recipient. Recipient is only bearing the heat of the taxes. Just through whose hands the money is going to the government, that is only changing. This is a forward charge mechanism. Supplier will give it to the recipient will give it to the supplier. Supplier will pay. This is a reverse charge mechanism. Recipient only will pay. So the person, whoever is bearing the taxes, that will remain the same. Just who is depositing, who is acting as a mediator, who is a partner of the government is changing here. But ultimate burden is always on recipient. Understood? Three circumstances I have covered. The activities which will be considered the supply definition. What are they? Come on. Section 7 subsection 1 clause A. What that will say? Goods or services, any form of supply, there should be consideration in the course or furtherance of the business. Section 7 subsection 1 clause AA. Activities or transactions involving supply of goods or services between a person other than individual to its members or constituents, or vice versa, for a consideration. 7 subsection 1 clause B. What does that say? If you are importing the services for a consideration, whether or not in the course or furtherance of the business, those activities also will fall under supply definition. Clear? See, till now, if you pay close attention, even for section 7 subsection clause A, 7 subsection 1 clause B, in all the three clauses qualify as consideration must be there. But now we are going to clause section clause C is that even though you are doing a transaction without any consideration, still we will treat that activities as supply, deemed supply, call it. We call it deemed supply, we call it. So if you are doing certain transactions which are not for consideration, but still the act is saying we will deem them as supply. Sir, what are those activities or transactions? Even if done without consideration, they will be deemed as supply. Those activities are given under Schedule 1. The activities are given Schedule 1. Those activities are given. And that Schedule 1 contains 4 paragraphs. Basically, in each paragraph, they have spoken about each activity. So they have given 4 paragraphs, para 1, 2, 3 and 4. If these activities are happening without any consideration also, still they will be considered as supply. On that, GST will become applicable. Understood? So shall we see what are that 4 activities which will be deemed supply even without consideration? Let us do it. So first we'll start with para number 1. What does para number 1 say? Permanent transfer or disposal of a business asset on which ITC has been availed on such assets. So if you have purchased an asset, have purchased on an asset, and on which you have availed input tax credit. Say you are a registered person, you have purchased a business asset. The one important thing here, when I say business asset, people often mistook that is only referring to capital assets. No, when I say business asset, even stock also will come in the business. Even stationery also will come in the business. Even plant and machinery also will come under business. Okay, so when I say business asset, I'm not referring to only plant and machinery or capital asset. I'm referring to every asset. So if you have purchased, you are a registered, you purchased a business asset. Say for example, you purchased some goods amounting to 1 lakh rupees, on which you have paid 18,000 rupees of GST. That 18,000 rupees of GST you have taken it as tax credit. But you are permanently transferring it, or you are disposing it without any consideration. Say for example, I am a person who is dealing in garments. I'm dealing in garments. So what I have done is I have purchased a stock worth, I have purchased some 100 shirts amounting to 1,000 rupees each. So total 1 lakh worth of purchases I have made, 18,000 rupees of GST I have paid, total 18,000 rupees GST I have availed it also. Now out of this 100 shirts whatever I have purchased, some 95 shirts I have sold it. 95 shirts I have sold it at a price of 1200 rupees. I made a margin. I purchased at 1000 rupees, 200 rupees of profit I have made. So that is supply. Why? This 95 shirts whatever I have sold, that activity will qualify as supply as per section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Goods are there, some form of supply is taking place, consideration is there in the course or furtherance of business. So this activity will qualify as supply under section 7 subsection 1 clause A. I have 5 more shirts. So what I have done to 5 more shirts? So one day a friend came to me. Who came to me? A friend came to me. Say for example, a friend came to me and told he liked some 2 shirts. He told, I want these 2 shirts. I'm a very good person. I maintain very good relationships with my friend. I told, okay, you like that 2 shirts? No, you take it free of cost. I did not charge any consideration from that activity be considered as supply. Yes, not under section 7 subsection 1 clause A, not under section 7 subsection 1 clause B, not even under clause AA, but under clause C. Why? Because those two are forming part of your business assets on which you have availed input tax credit. Now you are disposing it permanently without any consideration. So this activity will get covered under para number 1 schedule 1. So it will be deemed as supply under section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Sorry, clause C. Sorry. Okay, now I am left with 3 more shirts. Left with 3 more shirts. No, that 3 more shirts I have given it as a charity. I went to one charitable institution and gave it a donation without any. I should not say when I'm collecting the money, and I should not say it as donation. So I have given it as free of cost to a charitable institution. Now you tell me, will that be qualified as? That be qualified as? That also will. Why? Because these 3 shirts are also business asset on which I have availed input tax credit. I have availed input tax credit, and I am permanently transferring or disposing that business asset without any consideration. So it will be covered under para number 1 schedule number 1, and this activity will be called as supply under section 7 subsection 1 clause. Understood? Clear everybody? I am a chartered accountant, so I purchased one laptop. I previously purchased one laptop. So I purchased one laptop for my office purposes. I paid some 1 lakh rupees for that laptop, and 18,000 rupees of GST I have claimed it in my books. Later, after certain years of usage, that laptop is not able to cope up with my requirements. So what I have done? So I have gifted it to my daughter. I have gifted it to my daughter. I have completely excluded from my business purposes. I have gifted that laptop to my daughter without any consideration. I definitely will not ask consideration. So I have gifted it. So now you tell me, will that be considered as supply? Yes, that will be business asset on which I have availed input tax credit. I am permanently transferring or disposing without any consideration. This activity will be qualified as supply under para number 1 schedule number 1 section 7 subsection 1 clause C. Here everyone, business assets include everything. Your stock also will get covered under business asset. Your normal capital assets also will get covered. So any asset on which you have availed input tax credit, which and the transfer whatever you are making, that should be a permanent transfer. It should not be temporary transfer. It should be permanent transfer or disposing of. There is no getting back. If you are giving it, for example, this laptop I have given it for usage for 2-3 days to my friend, and after I am getting it back, now you should not say that is also supply. Why? Because that is not a permanent transfer or permanent disposal. So in order to qualify as supply, that should be a permanent transfer or disposal. Understood? Then what else? And one more condition. In order to qualify as supply, ITC should have been availed. ITC should have been availed. Sometimes what will happen is I will buy certain assets on which ITC is blocked. Motor vehicle, I purchased a car. On motor vehicle, ITC will be blocked. Later, I am selling that motor. I am giving away that motor vehicle free of cost. Will that be considered as supply? No. Why? Because ITC is blocked. I did not avail ITC only. Clear? Sometimes ITC will be available, but you have not claimed it. ITC is not blocked. ITC is available, but you have not claimed it. Such asset, you are transferring it later without any consideration. Will that qualify as supply? So essential conditions, two essential conditions. Transfer should have been permanent. ITC should have been availed. If any one of that condition is violated, it will not be deemed as supply. Clear? Shall we proceed further now? So we have completed para number 1. So let us try to understand now para number 2. So what does para number 2 say? So para number 2 says supply of goods or services or both between related persons or between distinct persons as specified in section number 25 will qualify as supply even if made without consideration, if made in the course or furtherance of the business. What they are trying to say here? There are two related persons. So there is a person Mr. A, there is a person Mr. B. They should be either related persons or they should be distinct persons as per section number 25. And if any supply of goods or services or both happening in the course or furtherance of the business, then those transactions will be deemed as supply even without consideration. Clear? But first we need to understand who will fall under related person definition. Will fall under related person definition. The act has not given the freedom to you decide who is not related. They have given one exhaustive hold. In this, we are giving a list of relationships, whether you like them or don't like them. Whether you like them or don't like them, we are least bothered. They are a related person. So the standard has, the act has not given you the liberty to choose who is related, who is not related, whether you like them or don't like them. People will be as related. And you can't say I have my brother-in-law, me brother-in-law both stay in the same house. We are so close to each other. He will not do anything without asking me. I will consider him as a related person because that person will not get covered in the. So related person, the term has been defined properly. So if we have a look at that definition of related person, who will fall under definition? Number, I will follow a different order. Just stay with me. So such persons are legally recognized partners, basically partners in the partnership firm. They are not talking about the spouse. That is different. Legally recognized partners means what? Business partners. And such persons are employer-employee. Employer and employee will be considered as related. And a third person controls, owns or holds greater than or equal to 25% of voting stock or shares of both of them. Very interesting point here. Say for example, there is a company A Limited, there is a company B Limited. There is a person, Mr. X, is holding greater than or equal to 25% of the equity or shares in A Limited. He is also holding greater than or equal to 25% of the equity or shares in the B Limited. Now who will be related? A Limited and B Limited will be related. Not Mr. X and A Limited, not Mr. X and B Limited. Who will be related? A Limited and B Limited will be related. A third person, you have to be very careful about the terminology here. A third person controls, owns or holds more than or equal to 25% of voting of shares of both of them. Here A Limited and B Limited will be considered as related parties. Understood? Not just that. Now we have control related points. 3 points regarding control we have. One of them controls the other. The control is different. Control need not be acquired only by shareholding. Control can be acquired by different means. By participating in the management decisions, by influencing the decisions, control can be influenced anyhow. So when I say control here, I am not talking about ownership. Control can come in any way. So they say control, regarding control, they say 3 points. One of them controls the other. Okay. A third person controls both of them. or both of them control a third party. What do they say here is, so there are two entities. Say for example, this way, we'll talk from the companies. A limited, B limited is there. A limited is controlling B limited, or B limited is controlling A limited. Both will be considered as related person. Or say for example, there is a company C limited. C limited is controlling A limited, C limited is controlling B limited. Then also we call them as related. Why? Because both are getting controlled by third party. A limited is controlling D limited, B limited is also controlling D limited. Then also A limited, B limited will be considered as related. Why? Because both are collectively controlling some third entity. And if you pay close attention here, everybody will be related. Why? Because each of them is having control in another. Understood? Simple family analogy here. Simple family analogy. Like for example, take mama, papa, me, daddy. Mummy controls daddy, daddy controls mummy. Some cases only one way works, other way does not work, but anyhow. So one of them controls the other, both are considered related. Now, grandfather is there. Grandfather controls mama also, grandfather controls papa also. Then also related, no? Now, you are there, kid. Mummy also controls you, daddy also controls you. So, no, simple family analogy. Everybody is related here. Here, the same thing they say from the control perspective. Next one. Such persons are members of same family. You are members of same family. Now they are coming to the personal relation. Sir, who will be coming in the family definition? Will be coming in family definition. Spouse, whether you agree it or don't agree it, whether they are dependent on you, not dependent on you, doesn't matter. Spouse and children, whether they are dependent, not dependent, doesn't matter. Always spouse and children will be considered as part of the same family. They will be related. Then parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters of the person, they will be considered as related only if they are wholly or mainly dependent on the said person. Yeah. So now don't come and argue with me. How can you say my parent is not depending on me? How dare you call him, he's not my related person? So the act has not given that liberty. So parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, whether they are dependent on you, not dependent on you, that you have to check it. So if they are dependent on you, then only they will be considered as family. If they are not dependent on you, then they will not be considered as family. So if you are, they are not considered as family. Correct only. So say for example, I am a chartered accountant. I am making my own living. My father is running a business. He's not depending on me. We will not be considered as same family. We will not be considered as related. So if I give some goods to him without any consideration, that will be considered as if I file a GST return for him. The normal client, I file a GST return for my father. My father will not pay me money. I can't ask also. But still government will say you have to pay the GST. Sorry, no. Assuming my father is dependent on me. Okay, if my father is not dependent on me, then did I say? If my father is if my father is not dependent on me, it will not be considered as supply of service. Okay, clear? Right. So even the members of the same family will be considered as related. Then what else? One of them is a sole agent, sole distributor, sole concessionaire of the other thing. But you are having only one agent, not deal apart from you another person's products, or he's your sole distributor or sole concessionaire. Sole concessionaire also means more or less the kind of sole distributor kind of thing also. So if one person is the other's sole agent, distributor or sole concessionaire, then also they will be as a related. But one point we have left out in the beginning, such persons are officers or directors of one another's business. What do they try to say? Is so, say for example, there is a person, Mr. A. He owns the company A Limited. There is a person, Mr. B. He owns the company B Limited. But Mr. A is a director in B Limited. Mr. B is a director in A Limited. Now A and B also will be as one of them is a director in another's business. Then also they as related. So this is what the meaning of the related person definition. Very, very important. 90% of the time, if they want to ask a question from here, they will ask a question from the family point. And when dependent, when not dependent, from there the question is going to come. If at all they want to test a question from here, 90% of the cases they will ask it from the family definition. So come on, repeat everybody. Who will come under related person's definition? One round of revision we will do, then we'll proceed. Who will come under related person definition? Number one, if they are legally recognized partners. They are employee and employer, and a third person controls or owns greater than or equal to 25% of the shares or security or voting shares or security in both of them. Control 3 points. One of them controls the other. third party controls both, or both of them control a third party, and they all belong to same family. What do you mean by same family? Spouse and children, whether dependent or not. Parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, only when they are dependent on you. Then if one person is sole agent, sole distributor or sole concessionaire of the another, and one of them is a officer or director in each other's business. Clear? Right. So they have told that if any supply of the goods or services are happening between related persons, even without consideration, that will be considered as supply. And not just that, they say if both of them are distinct persons as per section number 25, then also between those entities, if the supply of the goods or services is happening without consideration, still it will be considered as supply. Now we need to understand who are distinct as per section number 20. At various chapters, at various instances, we are going to come across this phrase. Now we will try to understand in an in-depth manner, so later when we come across this, we will not have any trouble. Clear? So what is this uh, distinct person? Say for example, I'm a business person. Business. In Tamil Nadu, I have two places. At Chennai also I have a shop. At Madurai also I have a shop. At two places I am having my places of business. My turnover has exceeded the applicable threshold. Now I become liable for registration. But in the same state, I have multiple places of business. Am I required to take two separate registrations? Not necessary. So if you have multiple places of business, the same state or union territory, you need not obtain multiple registrations. You can operate them under single registration. One place you will declare it as principal place of business, another place you will declare it as additional place of business. No need to take two multiple registrations. However, if you want, you can take separate registration. Say for example, at Chennai I have a mobile phone shop. At Madurai I have laptop shop, where I sell the laptops and all. If I want, I can operate them under a single registration. But for ease in compliance, ease tracking and all, I want to take multiple registrations. If you want, you can take it. So what I have done is I have taken separate registration for this place. I have taken separate registration for this place. Now what the act is? See, both belonging to me only. Both are belonging to me only. Both are my businesses only. So one day what happened is, at my store where I am selling mobile phones, I needed one laptop. For my accounting purposes, I needed one laptop. From my Madurai store, I have transferred one laptop to my Chennai store, where at Chennai, I will use that laptop for the purpose of my accounting purposes. Will I charge any consideration? Both are my businesses only. No. Why consideration? No consideration. But what the act has told you, since you have multiple registrations under same PAN, we will treat you as distinct person. And between you two, if any supply of the goods or services, even without consideration, still we will deem it as supply. On that we want to pay. Now say for example, I am a business person. I have a place of business in Tamil Nadu. I have a place of business in Karnataka. In two states, I am having a place of business. Can I operate those two businesses under single registration? You are having multiple place of business, multiple states. You have to compulsorily take separate registration. So I will take a separate registration for Tamil Nadu. I will take a separate registration for Karnataka. Now one fine day, from my Tamil Nadu place of business to Karnataka place of business, I have supplied some goods or services without any consideration. Will that be considered as supply? That be considered as supply? Yes. Why? Because these are distinct persons. Multiple registrations under same PAN, whether within same state or outside of the state. We are having multiple registrations same PAN, whether within same state or outside of the state. Those all entities will be treated as distinct persons, and if any supply of the goods or services is happening between them, on that transaction will be qualified as supply. On that, GST will be liable to be paid. One more thing also I have here. Say for example, I'm a business person. I'm running one mobile phone, a mobile store. I have a mobile store in Chennai. I run a bar where I sell the alcoholic liquor for human consumption at Bangalore. So I have a place of business where I have a registered entity where I'm making a taxable supply in one state. In another state, I have a place of business where I don't make any taxable supply. Now one fine day, what happened is, I needed one mobile phone at the bar which is there at Karnataka, where I will sell the alcoholic liquor for human. I sent one mobile phone from my Chennai store to my bar which is there in Bangalore. So will that also be considered as supply? That also will apply. So that section has defined that even these two entities also will be considered as entities of distinct person. Understand? So distinct persons, the definition is very important. So if you're a person with multiple registration, whether within the same state or union territory or across states or union territories, is treated as distinct person for each registration. Further, where a person has obtained or is required to obtain registration in a state or union territory in respect of an establishment and has an establishment in another state or union territory which doesn't require registration, like this bar example I have told you, no, in one state you have a place of business which is requiring registration, in another place you are having an establishment which doesn't require any registration. Still these two also will be treated as establishments of distinct persons, and if any supply of the goods or services is happening between these two entities also without any consideration, it will be deemed to be understood. Here everybody, what we are discussing, what is the track here? So we are discussing section 7 subsection 1 clause C, where some activities or transactions will be deemed as supply even without consideration. So in that we have completed two paragraphs. Para number 1 says permanent transfer or disposal of a business asset on which ITC has been availed. Para number 2 says supply of goods or services between related persons or distinct persons as per section number 25 in the course or furtherance of the business. Understood? Shall we move ahead with the next paragraph? Next paragraph says that para number 3 that, yeah, however here I have one more important point. I have one more. The employer and employee also will be considered as related persons, no? Say for example there is one employer, he gave some gift to his employee. He gave some gift to his employee. When I say gift, there will not be any consideration, but employer and employee are related persons. What did we see now? As per para number 2 of schedule 2, between schedule 1, between related persons, if any supply of goods or services is happening without any consideration, that activity should be treated as supply. Say for example this employer has gifted a mobile phone amounting to 45,000 rupees to this employee. That should that be considered as supply? Generally yes, but they have given one relaxation. What exception they have given is in case gifts are given by employer to the employee up to 50,000 rupees per employee per year. Per employee per year, for the entire year, for one employee, if the value of the gift does not exceed 50,000, that will be exempted, that will not be treated as supply. So here this employer has given a gift to his employee amounting to 45,000 rupees. Will that be treated as supply? No, that will not be treated as supply. Now say for example there is another employee. To that employee, the same employer has given a gift, but now he has given an iPhone as a gift. 70,000 worth of iPhone he has given as gift to his employee. Now will that be considered as supply? What excess only will be considered as supply, or entire value will be considered as supply? Entire 70,000 rupees will be considered as supply, not just the excess amount. Understood? Clear? So now we will try to understand para number 3. What does para number 3 say? Let me try to summarize it here. They say that supply of goods. So this is very, very important. They talk only about goods. Para number 2 they say supply of goods or services between related persons. But para number 3 only talks about supply of goods. Supply of goods by principal to his agent without consideration, or supply of goods by an agent to his principal without consideration, then those transactions also will be as supply. But here we need to understand which kind of agents will get covered here. Which kind of agents will get covered here. So they say that, first I will give you one example. Say for example there is one principal. Say for example this person is into business of selling some customized products. Customized products he is selling, but he don't know how to find the customers. Don't know how to find the customers. So he has appointed one agent. Now what this agent will do is agent will find the customers. Agent will find the customers. So now what the agent is doing is he is finding the customer and he is connecting that customer. Is connecting that customer to the principal. Now what the principal is doing is he is selling the goods directly to the customers. He is selling the goods. He is only giving the tax invoice. He is giving tax invoice. Principal is only giving the tax invoice. And for bringing the customers to this principal, he is paying some commission. He is paying some commission. Now these kind of agents will not get covered here. this paragraph is not talking about these kind of agents. Then which kind of agents they are talking about? They are typically talking about those agents who have the right to transfer the property in the goods to another person. Or if I put it in simple terms, those agents who will give the invoice in their own name. This is not the agent they are talking about here. Para number 3 doesn't talk about this agent. Then which agent they are talking about? Say for example, there is one principal. Now he don't know how to find the customers. He appointed an agent. So now what he is doing is he's sending the goods to the agent. Now what the agent will do? Agent will find the customer. He will sell the goods. Agent only will sell the goods. Agent only will give the invoice in his own name. Agent only will give the invoice in his own name. So these kind of agents will get covered here. So when the principal is sending the goods to the agent without a consideration, and such agent will make a further supply and he will give the invoice in his own name. So to that agents, if you are transferring the goods even without consideration, still that activity will qualify as supply. That activity will fall under para number 3 of schedule 1, and this activity will qualify as supply under section 7 subsection 1 clause C. Comfortable everybody till here? Similarly, what also could happen is, say for example, I'm a principal. I need some raw material for my business purposes. I need some raw material, but I don't know how to procure that material. So what I have done is I have appointed an agent. Now what this agent will do is agent will find the seller. Agent will file the supplier. So whatever raw material I want, that is there with this supplier. So now this supplier, this agent, he will connect me to that supplier. So I will go and buy that goods from that supplier. Supplier will give the tax invoice in his own name. Okay. For arranging this, I will pay some commission to the agent. So here also these agents will not get covered. These kind of agents we call them as procuring agents. These kind of agents will not get covered under para number 3. But some agents will work. How they will work is, say for example, there is one principal. He don't know how to procure the raw materials. He appointed one agent. Now what agent will do is, first he will find the supplier and he will receive the goods from supplier. Later that goods he will transfer to the principal, and for that he will give the invoice. Supplier will not give the invoice. Agent will give the invoice, that too in his own name. So if such an agent is supplying the goods to the principal, where the agent himself is giving the invoice, not the invoice given by supplier. So even these agents, if they are supplying the goods to their principal without consideration, still they also will be considered as supply under section C as per paragraph 3 schedule. Supply of goods by principal to agent or agent to principal. But only those agents will get covered under section 7 subsection 1 clause C para number 3 schedule 1. Those agents who are giving the invoice in their own name, either for making further supply or either for procuring. In any of the cases, agent must have the authority to give the invoice in his own name. Only those agents will fall under section 7 subsection 1 clause C. Understood? Para number 3 also. One more activity where a transaction will be treated as supply without consideration. Para number 1, what does that say? On permanent transfer or disposal of a business asset on which ITC has been availed. Number 2, supply of goods or services between related persons or distinct persons as per section number 25. Number 3, supply of goods, only goods. Para number 3 talks about only goods. Supply of goods by principal to agent or by agent to principal, but only those agents will get covered who are undertaking the responsibility to give the invoice in their own name. Yeah. Right. So this is what regarding para number 3. Now we have something called del cred agent and all. See, even del cred, there will be one circular. So they will say something about del cred agent. Difference between normal agent and del cred agent is, I will tell you. The normal agent, what he will do is, say for example, I'm a principal. So I supply the goods to the agent. What agent will do is, agent will find the customer and he will sell the goods. So now what agent will do is, once he collects the money from the customer, then he will deduct his commission and pay that amount to the principal. In case the customer to whom the agent has sold the goods, if he is not paying him the consideration, agent also will not pay consideration to principal. This is a normal agent. But there will be some people called del cred agent. So what is the differentiation between here is, in case of del cred agent, so here there is a principal will give goods to the del cred agent. Now agent will find the customers, he will sell the goods to the customers. even though the customer did not make the payment to the agent, still the delicate agent will undertake the responsibility to pay back to the, even though the customer did not make the payment, but still the delicate agent will take the responsibility. Sir, even the customer did not pay, I will make the payment, sir. That additional responsibility will be taken up by delicate agent. Since they are guaranteeing the payment, the commission will be little bit higher. It will be not little bit, it will be much higher. Now, whether this delicate agent, if supply of goods is happening between the principal and delicate agent or delicate agent to principal, will that be will that be covered under paragraph number 3 of schedule 1? Here also same logic, we have to check the same thing, whether the delicate agent is giving the invoice in his own name or not, we have to check. If the delicate agent is also giving the invoice in his own name, then he will also get covered under para number 3 of schedule 1. Then supply of goods between principal and agent will be considered as supply, even without nothing new. They will say that, just they will explain the difference between delicate agent and a normal agent. Conclusion is same. Whether delicate agent will fall under para number 3 or not, that depends on whether he is issuing the invoice in his own name or not. Understood? Now we have last activity which will be covered. Last activity we have under para number 4 of schedule 1, which if done even without consideration will be deemed as supply. Is relating to, once again, importation of services. Say importation of services. See, regarding importation of services, we have already seen one clause. What is that? Section 7 subsection 1 clause B, where they have told that consideration is compulsory. In order to qualify as supply under subsection 1 clause B, consideration is must. But in para number 4 schedule 1, they say that you are importing services without consideration, but you are importing that services from a related person or your own entity located outside India, your associated entity located outside India, in the course or furtherance of the business. Many things are there. Don't worry. I will give you one comprehensive chart which will make the things easy for you. So what is that they are trying to say here? So first we will read it. Just we will have a look at it once. Provision. Then we will start reading it. The importation of services. What do they say there? Importation of services by a person. From whom? From a related person or from his own establishment, which is located outside India. Your own establishment only. Without consideration in the course or furtherance of the business shall also be treated as. So what exactly they try to say here? Importation of services, what you need to check. So first, if there is any importation of services, we need to check whether there is a consideration or there is a no consideration. First factor is that. If there is a consideration for that importation of services, don't check anything extra. Whether it is in the course or for whom, from whom it are not required to check anything. You are importing the services for a consideration, that will always be qualified as supply under section 7 subsection 1 clause B. However, if there is no consideration, who are importing the services, there is no consideration, then what you should do? Then you should check from whom you are receiving. From whom you are receiving. Are you receiving it from related person or your own establishment outside India, like your branch office or your head office outside of India? So are you receiving that services, importation of services from related person or establishment outside India? If the answer is yes, the answer is no. No, you are receiving the services without any consideration, but you are not receiving it from related person or your own establishment outside India. Straight away, not a supply. Straight away, not a supply. However, if it is from a related person or establishment outside India, then we need to check one more thing. What we need to check? Is it in the course or furtherance of the business or not in the course or furtherance of the business? If it is in the course or furtherance of the business, then it will qualify as supply, that too under section 7 subsection 1 clause C. If it is not in the course or furtherance of the business, then also it will not be qualified as a supply. Able to understand? So this is what the checks you are supposed to do. If they ask you any question blindly after you have read the facts, if they are asking a question regarding importation of services, blindly you have to follow these steps, whatever has been told in the chart. So first check importation of services. Consideration is there or not? Consideration is there. Don't worry about it. Write it as directly supply under section 7 subsection 1 clause B. However, if there is no consideration, then come and check who is the party from whom you are receiving. Is he a related person or your own establishment outside India? If the answer is yes, then you need to check few more things. If the answer is no, straight away not a supply. Then you come and check, is it in the course or furtherance of the business? Yes, it is in the course or furtherance of the business, treat it as supply. If it is not in the course or furtherance of the business, don't treat it as supply. Understood? So we'll have a few questions, I guess, regarding this. At least have try to solve it. Raman is an architect in Chennai. Look at the question here. It answer. Raman is an architect in Chennai. His brother, who is settled in London, is a well-known lawyer. Raman has taken legal advice from him free of cost with regard to his family dispute. Come on. So once again, start implementing the chart. Importation of services. Is there a consideration? No consideration. Then what we need to check? Is it from a related person? So who is that person who is supplying services? Brother. But he is not a dependent on him. Why? Because he is a well-known lawyer established in London. So he is not a related person. Not even establishment outside India. Do we need to check the business condition? Not required. So if you follow the steps whatever I have given in the chart. So since there is no consideration and you are not receiving it from a related person or a your own establishment outside India, straight away, no, it will not be qualified as supply. Good. Here we have Miss Srinidhi Kaushik received interior decoration services for her residence located at Bandra, Mumbai from Mr. Rachel of Sydney. The amount paid for the said service is 5,000 Australian dollars. Supply or not? Simple here. Supply or not? Importation of services. Consideration is there? Yes. Are we required to check anything? No. It will be a supply as per 7 subsection 1 clause B. Good. Now, Mrs. Srinidhi Kaushik received interior decoration services for her residence located at Bandra, Mumbai from her brother, Mr. Varun, residing in Sydney, Australia, wholly dependent on Srinidhi. Further, Mrs. Srinidhi did not pay any consideration for the said service. You look at this kind of question, don't never ever jump into the conclusion. It might sound tempting looking at the question, that answer I know, but somewhere you will do the mistake. Go by the system. Have the system in place. We have set a system now for importation of services. Follow that system. So first one, importation of services happening. Is there a consideration? No, because they have clearly told did not pay. Next, we need to check from whom we are receiving. From whom we are receiving? Mr. Varun, brother, wholly dependent. Related person? Yes. Then we need to check business condition. Is it for business? Because it is for her residence, not in the course or furtherance of business, not a supply. Clear? Will your answer change if in the above case, if Miss Srinidhi has taken interior decoration services with regard to her business purposes and not for her residence, then it will qualify as supply as per section 7 subsection 1 clause C. I think enough no regarding this provision itself is where majority of the students do mistake. I hope I am able to simplify that. So with this we have completed section 7 subsection 1 clause C also. So section 7 subsection 1 we have successfully completed. Which activities will fall under supply we have covered. So now the next point of discussion which we need to have is, once you have treated an activity as supply, once either section 7 clause A, clause B, an activity is qualified as supply. Now whether that supply is falling under supply goods or is it falling under supply of services, that is the next have to make. Sir, why do you think it is very important to identify? Because the rate of tax, what rate of tax you have to charge, that will completely depend on whether it is supply or supply of services. And in many cases it is pretty straightforward. of the cases we can straight away applying our common sense we can decide whether it will fall under supply of goods or supply of, but in some cases it will create a trouble. Like for example, take restaurants. When you go to the restaurant, they provide food, but along with that whatever ambience they are offering and all, that is service. You go to a restaurant at the corner of the road and eat there, their food is prime, service is minimal. If you go to a 5-star hotel and eat, their service is prime, food is minimal, but somehow you are getting two at a price of one. No, that should be treated as supply of goods or supply of service. So these kind of confusions will arise. So that's why many transactions are straightforward, but there will be a few where we might get a confusion whether we have to qualify, whether we have to treat as supply of goods. To assist us in that matter, we have schedule 2. Schedule 2 has clearly given us guidance when an activity will be as supply of goods, an activity as supply of services. They have given the clear cut guidelines. Try to have a look at it. So we have para numbers in each and every paragraph. They spoke about certain things. Let us try to understand when an activity will be, once an activity has been qualified as supply, when it will be treated as supply of goods, when it will be treated as supply of services. Let us do it. Okay, we have to complete. I think we can do it now. All. So activities or transactions which are to be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. So whatever we are discussing here, that is taken from where? Schedule. So first, pretty straightforward points, they say transfer. If you are doing any transaction where title in the goods is getting transferred, what do you mean by title in the goods getting transferred? Ownership is getting transferred immediate. Like for example, I have this water bottle, I am giving that water bottle to you, receiving the money. So transfer and title in the goods is getting transferred immediately. No confusion, that will be considered as supply of. Or any transfer of right in goods or undivided share in goods without transferring title. I'm not transferring the ownership, I'm transferring the right. I'm transferring the right in the goods. Right in the goods, you can understand. Right in the goods means giving it on rent or etc. Or I have undivided share in goods. That also, if I am transferring, those activities will qualify as supply of service. The transfer of right in goods you can easily understand, like renting and all will come there. What do you mean by transfer of undivided share in the goods? This I will try to explain it of an example. See, there are 3 people, A, B, and C. 3 persons are. See, what these people have done, what these 3 people have done is they have collectively purchased one bus. They have pooled the funds and they purchased the bus. So say for example, they spend some 20-30 lakh rupees and they purchased the bus. This bus they are giving it on rent, and they are collecting the rental income, and that rental income they are sharing. Now, if you pay close attention, every person is having an undivided share or not. This bus, all the 3 people have undivided share. You can't divide the share. You can't say one person can't come and say tires belong to me. One person can't come and say steering belongs to me. You can't divide it. So every person is having a some undivided share. Now, this person, Mr. C, is in urgent need of funds. Is in urgent need of funds. So what he has done is whatever undivided share which he is having in this bus he is having some share. So that undivided share, he is transferring it to another person. Whatever share he is having in this bus, that he is transferring it to another person. So this is a typical example for transfer of undivided share in goods without transfer of title thereof. I am not transferring the ownership. I am transferring my undivided share in that bus. So this transaction will be treated as what? Supply of services. Supply of services. Clear? Not just that, any transfer of title in goods under an agreement which stipulates that property in the goods shall pass at a future date upon payment of full consideration as agreed. Hire purchase transaction where ownership will get transferred at a later date when full payment is received. So even hire purchase transaction, they also will qualify as supply of goods only. Next, land and building. As I've told, sale of land and building might be exempted, but here they talk about renting or leasing. So if there is any lease, a tenancy, easement, or license to occupy any land, common sense here, supply of goods or supply of services? Supply of services. Same thing will happen even for building or commercial complexes, whatever it is. So any lease or letting out of building, including a commercial, industrial, residential complex, that also will fall under supply of services. Now, treatment or process. So what do you mean by this is, I have some goods, I'm sending it to you. Say for example, I'm a t-shirt manufacturing company. have manufactured some 100 t-shirts. Now you are a person who are required to print logo on it. So I am sending that t-shirts to you. You will perform something on that. You will treat that product or you will perform some work on my goods. So you are printing the logo and giving it back to me. So whatever activity you are doing, which activity you are doing, treating or process, you are performing on other person's goods, my goods. So whatever activity you have done, basically job work you have done. So what is that? Is that supply of goods or supply of services? So they have clarified that it will always be considered as supply of services. Basically job work. On someone else's goods, you are doing some work, you are treating something, then that will be called as supply of, then that will fall under supply of services. So here I have supply of services. Here I have one small thing to clarify, one small circular I will explain. So you see this here, what is this? Tires. Say for example, one vehicle owner is there. Basically mainly will happen for trucks and all. One truck owner is there, he purchased one truck and all. So at the time when he purchases the truck, his tire is looking like this. But after certain point of time, because of wear and tear, this hard texture will go off. It will become smooth like this. But that is a danger. They have to replace it. So now there will be some people called who will provide the services of retreading of the tires. Which means what they will do is, this smoothened portion, this material they will add. And once again they will make the tire look like this. So this process we call it as a retreading of the tires. Now if you say that person, whoever has offered that service, he supplied goods also, he supplied this material also, and he performed some service also, will that be considered as supply of goods or supply of services? Supply of service. This will get covered under para number 3, whatever we have read now. Treating or performing some process on others goods. These are some others goods, on that you have performed some process or you have did some activity on that. So this activity also will fall under supply of services. Yeah. Transfer of business asset. So in this transfer of business asset, they try to say 3 things here. I will try to explain it with the help of examples. First part, they say that goods forming part of business assets are transferred or disposed by or under the directions of the person carrying on the business, so as to no longer form part of the assets. We consider supply of goods. Nothing but schedule 1, para number 1 we have. What did we see there? Permanent transfer or disposal of a business. That will be considered as supply. Will that be considered as supply of goods or supply of service? Supply of goods only. Supply of goods. That's what they are clarifying. So here they have told goods forming part of business assets are transferred or disposed of by or under directions of person carrying on the business, so as to no longer form part of assets. If you are permanently transferring the business assets, so that they are no longer forming part of your business. So one example for this is para number 1, schedule 1, permanent transfer or disposal of a business asset on which you have availed ITC. We got to know that that will fall under supply definition. Whether that will fall under supply of goods or supply of services, that they have clarified here. What they have told, it will be treated as supply of goods. Next one, goods held or used for business or put to private use or made available to any person for use for any purpose other than business by or under the directions of the person carrying on the business. What do you mean by this is, for this if I have to give you one, say for example, there is one company. Now this company X Limited is having one car. The name of the company, they have taken one car. That car is supposed to be used for official purposes. For business purposes they have to use, like if they have to pick any guest, if they have to drop any guest, for that purposes they have to use it. So one day the CEO of this company want to go on a vacation along with his family on a weekend. Doesn't have his car available. What he has done is, he went to the company's manager, told, boss, I need the car of the company. Whatever car of the company which you use it for business purposes, that I will take it and I will use it for vacation. So assets which should have been used for business purposes, that has been put to private consumption or put to use for other than business purposes. Now company told, okay boss, take this vehicle and go and use it for your family trip and all, but since you are taking that business vehicle for your personal purposes, pay us some 10,000 rupees of consideration. 1,000 rupees of consideration. So now whatever activity which has been done here, business assets are put for private use or put to any use other than business purposes, for which they have received a consideration. Is that a supply of goods or supply of service? Supply of service. That only they have clarified. Why? Because no transfer, no title, nothing is getting transferred. No, only right to use it getting transferred. That's why that activity also will fall under supply of services. Now this is interesting thing. This is linked with the registration chapter. So what is this third point? In the third point, what they say here is, say for example, you are a registered person. You are a registered person. You have taken the registration under GST. On one fine day, you are ceasing to be a taxable person. You are ceasing to be a taxable person. What do you mean by ceasing to be a taxable person? You are no longer continuing to be a taxable person. Either you might be closing down your business, or you are no longer liable for registration. You are cancelling your registration. Whatever could be the case. So till now, you are a person liable for registration, but at certain point of time, you are ceasing to be a taxable person. One day prior to that, ceasing a taxable person. Say for example, you are stopping to be a registered person on 31st of March 2025. One day prior to that, that means as on 31st of March 2025, whatever assets are there, whatever capital assets could be there, whatever goods could be there. So whatever assets are there, whatever they are lying with you, all that will be deemed supplied. All that would have been deemed to have been supplied. Listen carefully. This provision is having a linkage with the registration chapter. There I will explain it in a detailed manner. For the time being now, remember that if you are a registered person, but if you are ceasing to be a taxable person, ceasing to be a taxable person in the sense it could happen because of various reasons. You are ceasing to be a taxable person. One day before you cease to be a taxable person, whatever assets you hold, whatever assets are there with you, whether you supply it or not doesn't matter, you are just keeping them with you. All that assets which are there one day prior to your ceasing to be a taxable person, they will be deemed to have been supplied, and that activity will be considered as supply of goods. That activity will be considered as supply of goods on that stock which is there with you, on that capital assets which are there with you. You are required to pay GST. However, there are some exceptions. Sometimes you cease to be a taxable person, you are no longer required to be a taxable person. General rule is one day prior to that, whatever assets are there, they will be deemed to have been supplied. But in some cases, even though you cease to be a taxable person, whatever assets you have, they will not be considered as supplied. What are that circumstances? Number one, the business is getting transferred as a going concern. The business is getting transferred as a going concern, which means, say for example, Mr. A, on 31st of March 2025, you are stopping to be a taxable person. But why you are stopping to be a taxable person is your entire business, you are selling it as a going concern to another person. You are selling that entire business to Mr. B. That means all your assets and all will get transferred to another person. If that is the case, then it will not be considered whatever goods you have prior to the date of cancellation or prior to the seizing of taxable person, they will not be considered as supplied by you. That activity will not be considered as supply of goods. One more case, one more exception. What is that one more exception is? Say for example, there is one person, he is registered on 31st of March of 2025, he died, he expired. General rule is what? One day prior to seizing of taxable person. On 31st of March, he expired. One day prior to that, that means on 30th of March, whatever assets are there, they should have been deemed to be supplied. But in case if his business is getting carried on by his legal representatives, his business is getting carried on by legal representatives will take new registration. No. So in that case also, whatever assets are there one day prior to that, they will not be deemed to have been supplied. Understand? I know this provision will sound a little bit not able to relate it, but when I teach the registration chapter, daily you will get the better clarity. Then I will teach section number 18, then you will get better connection. But for the time being now, I just want you to remember it. This thing you have to keep it in mind, even if you don't understand. What is that thing? If you cease to be a taxable person, one day prior to that, whatever assets you have, that will be deemed to have been supplied. And this activity will be considered as supply of goods. Two exceptions. What are they? You are ceasing to be a taxable person, but you are transferring the business as a going concern. Number two, you are ceasing to be a taxable person, but the business is carried on by legal representative. Clear? Good. Now, fifth point is very easy to understand. Renting of immovable property. Sir, land and buildings we have already covered, no? But land and building is not the only immobile property. We have other immobile properties also. If any of such other immobile properties are given on rent, supply of goods or supply of service? Supply of services. Why? Because no ownership, nothing is getting transferred there. Next one. Construction of a complex building, civil structure, etc. I will explain here. Now only we'll try to cover this discussion. So if you are offering construction of complex building or civil structure, when that services will be exempted, when that services will be taxable. You understand? We'll keep this point on hold. I'll try to cover it along with schedule 3. This one point you keep it on hold. Remaining things we'll try to cover. Along with schedule 3, B point I will try to cover. So C point, temporary transfer or permitting use or enjoyment of any intellectual property rights. What do you mean by intellectual property rights? Copyrights, patents, trademarks, software also you can say. If I'm temporarily transferring that right or permitting the enjoyment of a copyright or patent to others, will that will be considered as supply of services. Like say for example, Dr. Reddy's is having a patent for a drug. So now that patent they have given it for another company where they can use it for a short period of time. So that will be considered as supply of services. Very important guys, a temporary transfer. If it is a permanent transfer, supply of good. Temporary transfer only will be considered as supply of services. Next, development, design, programming, customization, adoption, upgradation, enhancement or implementation of IT software, supply of services. Next, agreeing to obligation to refrain from an act, or agreeing to tolerate an act or situation, or agreeing to do an act. The three things are there here. This paragraph, three things are there here. One is agreeing to do an act. Agreeing to do an act. Then agreeing to refrain from an act. And agreeing to tolerate an act. Three things are there here. They are saying if you are agreeing with another person either to do an act or to refrain from doing an act or to tolerate an act, then you will be deemed to have made the supply of services. So first I will say, what do you mean by agreeing to do an act? What do you mean by agreeing to do an act? If I have to give you one simple example, I'm a chartered accountant, you came to me and asked me to file the return. I agreed to file the return for you. I have as a party, I have agreed with another party to do an act for you. So this is a what? Supply of services. Or if I give you one more, if I have to give a very complicated example for the same thing, let me give you an example. So there is one factory. There is one factory here. Okay. So now this factory is manufacturing activity and they are releasing some gases as a part of that manufacturing activity. They are releasing some waste gases they are releasing. Within the permissions only they are doing it. Within the permissions only they are doing. Adjacent to that, a few kilometers away, they have one gated community. One very big gated community is there. Now these gated communities are worried because so many gases are getting released. Their health might get affected. But they are all doing it within the permissions only. So now what this gated community has done is they went to the factory and told, boss, you are releasing so much of waste into the air. No, you do one thing. Please install one waste treatment plant. After you treat all the waste, then only you release them into the environment. This company has told, okay, I will do it for a consideration. They're even ready to pay the consideration also. We will pay you some 5 lakh rupees. You do one thing. Please, in your factory, you install one waste treatment plant. So here this factory has agreed to do an act for a consideration. Supply of services. By agreeing to do this act, they are making a supply of services. Next, I will give you an example. Refraining from an act. If as a party, you are agreeing with another person to refrain from an act. What do you mean by refraining? Stopping. You are stopping yourself from doing an act. So what is that? Say for example, there is one builder. He got the permission to construct 5 floors of apartment. So he completed 3 floors. Now adjacent to that, one more apartment is there. They feel that if this person constructs that extra 2 floor, he's having permission also to do it. If you construct that extra 2 floors, the sunlight will get blocked for this apartment. So now this builder has approached this other builder, boss, you have a permission for 5 floors, but don't construct that extra 2 floors because we will have a blockage of the sunlight. Don't do it for free of cost. We will pay you some bulk amount of consideration. So he took the consideration and he agreed. Okay, I will not construct that extra floor. So as a part of this agreement, he agreed to refrain from an act. Is permitted to do it, but he agreed to refrain from an act for a consideration. So by agreeing to refrain from an act, by agreeing to stop from constructing that extra 2 floors, he received some consideration. So he is supplying what? Services. Next one, to tolerate an act. So now what do you mean by tolerating an act? Say for example, there is one busy road is there. So on this busy road, I have one shop, a jewelry store is. Now footpath also will be there, no? Like in T Nagar, we have here, right? In the road we have there. So many shops and all will be there. So footpath also will be there. But you find in front of that shopping malls and all, pani puri wala, masala wala, they all will have their stalls. See, very business time, this person is having one jewelry store. So in front of his shop, what happening is every evening one pani puri wala is coming, and he will keep his thela there for 4 or 5 hours. He will keep it there. So because since he's keeping it exactly in front of the gate, so there is a blockage of the customers. So now this person got irritated. He went to that person and told, "Was in front of my friend. How dare you keep that thing and all? So this is a disturbance to my business." Now that person told, "Sir, I have my business time only for a few hours, sir. You please tolerate. You please tolerate. I will pay you some monthly 20,000 rupees." So by receiving that 20,000 rupees, what the shopkeeper is doing? He is tolerating an act. Now this shopkeeper will have agreed to provide the services, supply of. Understood? So as a person, if you have agreed with another person either to do an act or to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act, then you are making a supply of services. But it will be treated as supply of services only when conditions are fulfilled. When you are agreeing to do an act, or when you are tolerating an act, or when you are refraining from an act, then those things will be considered as supply of services only when conditions are fulfilled. Which conditions are required to be fulfilled? Condition number 1, there should be agreement. You are not doing it out of your own choice. You have entered into an agreement. As a part of agreement, you are doing it. So there should be agreement, either explicit or implied, and he must be contractually obligated. Next, one more condition: the consideration must flow from the second party. Consideration must be there, and there should be one agreement. You should be under a contractual obligation to do it, and there should be consideration. So when these two conditions are satisfied, then only agreeing to do an act, agreeing to refrain from an act, agreeing to tolerate an act will be treated as supply of services. Understood? Next, what else we have? Transfer of right to use any goods for any purpose, whether or not for specified period, for cash, deferred payment, or other valuable consideration. This already we know. When you are giving something on rent, this will be treated as supply of services. Then we have a few composite supplies where goods also will be supplied, services also will be supplied in a single contract. So first, restaurant services. As I have told, when you go and eat at a restaurant, it involves service also, it involves goods also. So there came a confusion, but the government doesn't want to have that confusion. So they gave a strict warning that restaurant services will always be as supply of services. So the goods are involved, we will treat it as supply of service. Similarly, we have works contract. So first we need to understand what do you mean by works contract. So works contract means if you are a person, you are making any supply in relation to immovable property. You are making any supply in relation to immovable property, and as a part of that supply, you are making supply of goods also, you are making supply of services also at a single price. In a single supply, you are making supply of goods also, you are making supply of services also, and that work is related to immovable property. Those contracts we call them as works contract services. Like for example, there is one landowner. So now this landowner wants to construct a apartment here, or a building he wants to construct. Now a contractor came forward and told, okay sir, I will do the construction of the 3 floors of building for you for a consideration of 1.2 crores. For this 1.2 crores, I will supply all the goods also. For the construction of this apartment, whatever goods are required like cement, sand, steel, iron, that also will be included. And you receive labor services for the construction, that also I will provide. So for this single price of 1.2 crores, this person is making supply of goods also, supply of services also, that too that work is in relation to immovable property. So this kind of contracts we call them as works contract services. Now there came a confusion whether this should be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. Why? Because for this 1.2 CR, the party is receiving goods also, the party is receiving services also. So that's why here also they have clarified in the schedule 2 that this works contract service will always be considered as supply of, even though the goods are involved, this will always be as supply of. Clear? Able to understand everyone? Right. So with this, I think we are all done with all the schedule 2. What are the different paragraphs and all are there, so that we have covered. This exemption you ignore it. What this no circular you ignore it. What is this tenancy rights and all? This will be covered along with the exemptions chapter. So this also we have covered. When these things will get covered, like agreeing to refrain from an act, tolerate an act, So in order to qualify as supply, there must be one agreement and there must be consideration. So we have successfully completed schedule 2 also. What we have covered till now, which activities will be qualified as supply. Once an activity has been qualified as supply, whether it will fall under supply of goods or it will fall under supply of services, that also we have covered. Now we have to cover non-supply. Schedule 3 we have to cover. The government has specifically mentioned certain activities even though they fulfill all the conditions given under section number 7 subsection. Even though they fulfill all the conditions given under section 7 subsection 1, still they will not be considered as. Basically, government does not want a GST on certain transactions. So what are the transactions on which the government does not want any kind of GST? Let us have a look at that. Those transactions are given under schedule 3. So let us try to understand now schedule 3. What are those activities which will not be considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services? Basically, these transactions are completely outside of GST purview. Okay. Need any break? Required. Want? I don't need. If you want, I can give it for 10 minutes. Not more than that. But you guys are not coming on time. Especially you. Tomorrow itself. Today? Tomorrow you will be on time. That I am not giving break now. Tomorrow only I will give. So we'll cover here. Schedule 3 also will cover. See, schedule 3 we are left with which transactions will not be treated as supply. After that we have just section 8. Composite supply, mixed supplies. So hardly somewhere around 45 minutes of discussion. What were some points I want to see here? Some circular all. After that we have to solve some questions also. Because it doesn't have any impact if I just teach the concept. Then you want to break. Okay then fine. So 10 minutes. Fine, no? Please come back. So now the time is 6:17. I will start by 6:30. Come fast. So let us try to understand schedule 3. We'll proceed further. Is talking about what are those activities which will be neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services. Basically, government don't want a GST on activities. Let us see what are they. So para number 1 of schedule 3 says that services by an employee to their employer in the course or in relation to his employment. We all are aware the people who are working with the companies as an employee. Say for example, an employee is there who is working with for every month he's getting a salary of 50,000. Did you ever find an employee demanding, hey, I am providing services, 50,000 is salary, add 18% and pay that also? But it is supply of services only, no? Services is there, supply of, practically speaking, it is a supply of service. Consideration is there, it should have been qualified as supply. But we never see an employee charging a GST amount from the employer. Why? Because the government has told in schedule 3 that services which are provided by an employee to the employer in the course or in relation to his employment will be neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services. But you have to be very careful here. Only the services which are provided in relation to the employment or in the course of employment are only not treated as supply. If you are doing something which is beyond your course of employment, beyond your terms of the employment, that will not be exempted, that will be considered as supply. Say for example, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm working with some big business person has appointed me. Boss, you are a chartered accountant, oh, you please do my accounts. So I'm doing the accounts for him. Every month he's paying me some salary. That is service which I'm providing as an employee in the course or in relation to his employment. But he asked me one more thing. So he came to know that I'm a faculty and he told, why don't you teach my son also? I told, okay. And he told, okay, teach my son the subject of GST. I will pay you some extra 50,000 rupees. So now whatever I am teaching, that is beyond my terms of the employment. That is not in relation to my employment. Those will be considered as supply of services on which a GST will be imposed. Clear everyone? Next one. And few more things here. See, when I say employee, I'm not just referring to the full-time employees, even casual labors also will get included here. Like in the construction industry, it is quite common. Casual labor will be there. A day a person will come, take his daily wages, work for that day and go back. So that casual workers also will be as employees. Sir, what about directors, sir? What about directors? So directors here also two things will be there. Say for example, managing director, whole-time director. These are like full-time employees, and they will be treated at par with employees. But there will be independent directors. They are not like employees. They come once in a while. Once for the board meeting, they will come. They will receive the sitting fees and go back. So here they have helped us in one way to know whether a director is an employee or not. Check under which section TDS is getting deducted. Company will pay remuneration to the directors. No, check under which section TDS is getting deducted. In case if the TDS is getting deducted under section 192 as per Income Tax Act, then that director will be considered as employee, and whatever services that person is providing, they will be neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services. However, if some remuneration is getting paid to the director, but the TDS is not getting deducted under section 192, instead it is getting deducted under section 194J. That is the professional services, then that director is not an employee. Those services are not provided in the course of employment. That will be treated as supply of service. That will attract GST. And anyhow, that will come under reverse charge mechanism. That will cover it in the charge of GST chapter. Yeah. Few more things, few more important things which I have to explain here. Say for example, there is a, let me give you one scenario to make you understand. Say for example, there is a contractor. There is a contractor. So now this contractor is having so many employees, so many laborers are there. They are his employees. Now using that laborers, he provide construction services to one builder. He provide construction services to that builder. Labor services he is providing to the builder for the purpose of construction. So now whatever services which are provided by the constructor, by the contractor to the builder, will that be treated as supply or not? That fall under supply or not supply? Will you understand my question? Let me give similar kind of example. Say for example, I have started one firm, X&Co security agency firm I have started. Now what I have done is I have recruited various people. I've recruited various people. Say for example, I have recruited some 20 people. Every month I'm paying some 20,000 rupees of salary to them. Now what service I'm providing is security services I'm providing. Now say for example, one day a local DMart store asked they needed some 2 security guards. So what I have done is I have supplied 2 security guards, and this DMart will pay me consideration. So now whatever services X&Co security agency provided to DMart, will that be considered as supply of services or supply of not supply of service? It is supply. Why? Because it is not employee-employer relationship. It is a principal to principal basis. Whatever services these employees are providing to X&Co as an employee, that is not a supply. But however, whatever this security agency providing services to the DMart, that is on a principal to principal basis. Here there is no employee-employer relationship. That will be qualified as supply. Same logic applies here. Contractor is providing construction services to the builder. There is no employee-employer relationship there. That is on principal to principal basis. That will be treated as supply. But his workers who are employees of the contractor, those are the services provided in the course of employment. Those are neither supply of goods, not even supply of services. Understood? One more important point here. One more important point, having a high chance of getting tested here. Say for example, there is an employee. One day, Infosys company recruited him. They told him, boss, we will pay you salary of monthly 1 lakh rupees. But we want one non-compete agreement. What is that non-compete agreement is? You should not go and join the TCS. You should not go and join the TCS because they are our competitor. If you agree not to join the TCS, we will pay you 10 lakh rupees. This we call it as a remuneration for non-compete agreements. So whatever this 10 lakh rupees they have paid, see monthly salary, those are the services provided by the employee to the employer in the course or in relation to the employment. Now whatever this non-compete agreements are there for which the remuneration is getting received, for not joining the TCS, Infosys is paying to their employees some 10 lakh rupees. Will that also be considered as a remuneration in the course of employment? Non-compete agreement amount which you are receiving for non-compete agreements, it will not be considered as services provided by the employee to the employer in the course or in relation to his employment. That will be a supply, and that will attract GST, provided if the supplier is a registered person, then it will be considered, but it will be considered as supply. Clear? Right. This is the first activity which will be neither considered as supply of goods nor considered as supply of services. All the important points which can be tested in the examination, that also I have covered. Next thing, services by any court or tribunal established under any law for the time being in force. See, if a person is offended, if a person is having some legal case, he has to go and file a case in the court or in the tribunal. For that, court and tribunal will charge some nominal charges. The government has thought justice should not come at a cost. So what they have done is, so whatever services which are provided by the court, whatever services which are provided by the tribunal, for which they charge some nominal amount of fees and all, since the justice should not become costly by imposing GST, they have told these activities will be neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of goods. Third point, if I have to say, third para, if I have to say broadly, positions held by the constitution. Like for example, there will be MPs, there will be MLAs, members of panchayats, members of municipalities, and members of local authorities. They also provide services. For them also, government will pay them salary. But we all know those people will not work for salary; they work for something else. We all know it. So they are not talking about the other things. These MPs, MLAs, and all, for the services whatever they have rendered, they receive remuneration from government. But the government has told those activities will not consider it as supply of goods or not even supply of services. Similarly, duties performed by any person who holds any post in pursuance of the provisions of constitution in that capacity, like duties which are performed by President of India, Vice President of India, Prime Minister of India, Chief Election Commissioner. Like if you are holding any constitutional position, for that you are receiving remuneration, not a supply of service, not a supply of goods. Similarly, duties performed by any person as a chairperson or a member of director in a body established by central government or state government or a local authority. Central government has established one body, state government has established one body, or local authority has set up some body. In that, you are asked to act as a chairperson, or you are asked to act as a vice chairman, or you are asked to act as a member, for which these people will pay you remuneration. Like for example, election commissioner, etc. So these positions, for these bodies which are established by central government, state government, or local authority, if you are holding any position as a chairperson or any other member for which you are paid remuneration, the government told we will not treat that either as supply of service or supply of goods. No GST on that. So three paragraphs we have seen. Come on, repeat everybody. Number one, services provided by an employee to the employer in the relation to or in course of his employment. Number two, services provided by court or tribunal. Number three, services provided by MPs, MLAs, or other persons. Services provided by the persons who are holding the position in the constitution, as per the constitution, and the persons who are acting as a chairperson or a member of a body established by the governments. Till here, comfortable? Para number 4, services of funeral, burial, crematorium, mortuary, including transportation of deceased. Basically, when a person leaves this world, at least leave him peacefully. The government don't want taxes there. So all the services relating to funeral, burial, crematorium, mortuary, all these are exempted. Even transportation of the deceased person. Sometimes they will ask a question. A very rich person has expired. His dead body has to be transported from one place to another place. His dead body was carried in a helicopter, and the person who transported that dead body, he charged some 3 lakh rupees of consideration. Exempted, not exempt. That means supply, not a supply, not a supply. They just said transportation of a deceased person. That could happen in any manner. That could happen by water, road, air, doesn't matter. Whatever may be the consideration, how premium could be the service, transportation of a deceased person, those services will be neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services outside of the GST purview. Next. So now we will try to understand. Yeah. Not at all a supply only. Is schedule 3, whatever activities we are discussing, those are neither supply of goods, not even supply of services. That means basically it is not at all a supply. Got it? So now coming to the fifth paragraph. Fifth paragraph talks about sale of land, sale of building. First we will discuss sale of land. As I have told, sale of land, neither supply of goods, not even supply of services. Why? Because land is subject to stamp duties and also the government got any G. Now sale of building or sale of flat in an apartment, sale of anything. When it comes to sale of building or flat, apartment and all, when it will not be considered as supply of, when it will not be considered as supply, when it will be considered as supply, here there is one system. Here also I'm going to tell you one system now. If they say anything regarding construction of an immobile property, so you are supposed to follow this system. Okay, like the way we build a system for importation of services, now we are going to build one more system. So first thing, what you should do is, in case of sale of building, completed building, sale of completed flat and all, first thing what you should do is you have to determine something called a cutoff date. Determine something called what? Cutoff date. So what is that cutoff date? Basically cutoff date for consideration. How to determine that cutoff date? Cutoff date will be date of first occupation or date of completion certificate issued by competent authority. Date of first occupation or date of issuance of completion certificate by competent authority, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier. That will be cutoff date. Cutoff date for what? Cutoff date for receiving the consideration. If entire 100% of the consideration is received after the cutoff date, not a supply of good, not a supply of services, not at all subjected to GST. Even 1 rupee of the consideration also you have received prior to that cutoff date, entire value will be considered as supply of services. Construction of treated as service of construction property, it will be treated as supply of. Once again, I will give you examples, don't worry, but just let us digest the system. First thing, what is the first step? Determine cutoff date for receiving of the consideration. How to determine cutoff date? Date of first occupation or date of issuance of completion certificate by competent authority, whichever is earlier. Next thing, what you need to check? When the consideration is received. If entire consideration is received after the cutoff date, not a supply at all, will not be subjected to GST. Even if part of the consideration is received prior to the cutoff date, then entire value will be considered as supply of services and it will attract applicable of GST. Okay, right. Let me try to give you here scenario, all one scenario. Say for example, date of first occupation. Date of first occupation 15th of April, 15th of March 2024. Issuance of completion certificate by the competent authority 20th of March 2000. Total that building is getting sold for 1 CR. Entire consideration has been received on 18th of March 2020. Exempted, not exempt. Not a supply. Steps. First step. Date of first occupation, date of completion certificate, whichever is earlier. Tell me which one is earlier. Date of first occupancy. So which will be? So cutoff date will be 15th of March 2024. Then we need to check when the consideration is received. Here they have told that entire consideration has been received on 18th, which is after cutoff date. So entire this 1 crore will neither be considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services, no GST implication. Comfortable? Let me give you another case. So let me keep the facts as it is. Say for example, entire consideration has been received on 14th of March 2024. What will be your answer? Supply. What will be the value of supply? Entire 1 CR will be considered as supply. Supply of what? Supply of services. They will attract applicable rate of G. Now let me give you one more scenario. Total consideration is 1 CR. Out of that 1 crore rupees, 10,000 rupees advance booking amount has been paid on 14th of March 2024. 99.99 lakhs. This has been paid on 20th of March 2024. Supply of service or not? Yes. What value? Entire 1 CR. Even if you receive 1 rupee of the consideration prior to that cutoff date, entire value will be considered as supply applicable of GST collected. Understood? Very important. So once again, repeat the system, guys. Last for one last time. So what are the steps which are required to follow? Number 1, identify cutoff date. How to identify the cutoff date? Date of first occupation, date of issuance of completion certificate by competent authority, whichever is earlier. Then check consideration. If entire consideration is received after the cutoff date, not a supply. Even if a part of the consideration is received prior to the cutoff date, entire value will be considered as construction service, supply of services. So this is what regarding 5th point. Then actionable claims. 6th paragraph talks about actionable claims. As I have told, actionable claims will be included in goods or not? Actionable claims will it be included in the goods definition? Say yes, no. Yes, we have understood the goods definition, right? Come on, repeat everybody. Goods definition. Goods means you are not responding. I will not leave you until this chapter gets completed. It's up to you. And I will proceed further only when I get the response. Goods means every kind of mobile property other than money and securities. It includes actionable claims. So goods will include what? Actionable claims. When the actionable claims are supplied, what it will be treated as? When the actionable claims are supplied, generally it should be treated as supply of goods. But what the government is, we will specify certain actionable claims. We will specify certain actionable claims. Only if that specified actionable claims are getting supplied, then only you treat it as supply of goods. Apart from that, any other actionable claims are getting supplied, don't treat it as neither supply of goods, not even treat it as supply of service. Clear? So generally actionable claims fall under definition of goods. When any kind of actionable claim has been supplied, it should have been treated as supply of goods. But the government has given one relaxation. Government told we will specify certain actionable claims. Only when that actionable claims are getting supplied, then only they will fall under supply of goods. Apart from the specified actionable claims, if any other kind of actionable claims are getting supplied, even though they are falling under goods definition, even though they are getting supplied, don't treat them as supply of goods, not even treat them as supply of services. Now the question comes, sir, what are that specified actionable claims? What are that specified actionable claims? So 6 specified actionable claims they have specified: betting, casinos, gambling, horse racing, lottery, online money gaming. Only these 6. When these 6 actionable claims are getting supplied, then only supply of goods. Apart from that, any other things are getting supplied. Like for example, you have a right to receive a debt. That debt you have transferred it, unsecured debt. Supply of actionable claim, but we will not treat it as supply of goods, not even supply of service. You have a right to claim the rent, actionable claim. That right to claim the rent you have transferred to another person. Transfer of actionable claim, but we will not treat it as supply of goods, not even treat it as supply of service. Only 6 actionable claims they have specified. Repeat everyone. What are they? Betting, casinos, gambling, horse racing, lottery, online money laundering. One more time. Betting, casinos, gambling, horse racing, lottery, online money gaming. If you want to develop any mnemonic for that, try to do it. But I'm not personally a fan of that at all. So today ChatGPT will do the thing for you. Just if you enter all these things and ask the ChatGPT, it will give you some mnemonic by which you can remember it. So just put that little extra effort. Understand? Fine. So we have completed non-supplies under schedule 3. So now we will try to discuss some supplies, some activities which are notified as non-supplies by notification. Government has released some notification, and through that notification they have given a clarification that there are certain activities which you don't treat it as supply of goods, not even treat it as supply of, don't treat it as supply only. Sir, what are that activities? Those activities are services by way of any activity in relation to a function entrusted to a panchayat under Article 243G of the Constitution, or a municipality under Article 243W of the Constitution. They will be neither treated as supply of goods nor treated as supply of services. But basically, for a panchayat, some functions are given to them under Article 243G of the Constitution. For municipality, some activities are entrusted to them under Article 243W of the Constitution. Now, what the government says is any activity which panchayat is required to perform, or which municipality is required to perform under those respective articles of the Constitution, any activity in relation to that will be neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services. Basically, those are all essential services which are required for us, like sanitation, healthcare, water. So these services are entrusted to municipality or panchayat under Article 243G and W. So services by way of any activity in relation to that functions, neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services. Nothing much here. Now one more thing, one more notification they have given. The state government will give various kind of licenses. Like for example, if you remember, license is also a form of supply. License is also a form of supply. When someone is giving you a license for a consideration in the course or furtherance of the business, that should also form part of supply. That should be treated as supply of services. Even when the state government is also giving license for a consideration in the course or furtherance of the business, that activity also should have fallen under supply under Section 7 subsection 1 clause A. But what the government has given a clarification. If you want to open a bar, you want to sell alcoholic liquor for human consumption, you need license from the state government. So you have to pay a certain amount of money to the state government. Then the state government will give you license to sell the alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Now state government is providing service or not? License is there, service is there, consideration is there in the course or furtherance of business also. Why? Because it's the responsibility of the government to do in the regular course of business to grant licenses. Now the government told, but still, even though it is getting qualified as supply under Section 7, 1 clause A, government not collect. Logic is very simple. The alcoholic liquor for human consumption itself is outside of the GST purview. So or no? That is a non-taxable supply. So that's why government thought even granting of license relating to alcoholic liquor for human consumption, on that also we don't want any GST. We also want to keep that outside of the GST purview. You have to be very careful here. State government, it will give various other licenses. You want to carry out mining in a state, you need mining license from the state government. State government will charge some consideration from you and give you the mining license. Taxable, not taxable? Service, supply or not? Supply. GST will come or not? Yes. Only activity which has been neither not treated as supply is grant of license for alcoholic liquor for human. Other licenses granted by the state government, they will be considered as supply, and on that GST will come. Clear? Now they have clarified. There are some non-supplies which are clarified by way of a circular. Government has over a period of time given the circulars also, by which they have clarified certain activities which will be neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services. This is interesting thing. So what is this interesting thing is interstate movement of various modes of conveyance. This circular, they have a requirement because of intelligence of some GST officers. GST officers are there who are very intelligent. Because of them, circulars are required. I will tell you background, because this circular you can't understand without a background. So what happened is, listen carefully guys, interesting discussion. See, there is some travels. Say some popular travels. Travels name you say here. Hey, Redbus is an e-commerce operator. Orange Travels, okay. So Orange Travel. See, this Orange Travels is having a place of business in Hyderabad. Hyderabad they have an office, no? In Chennai also they have an office. Will they take registration? Will they take registration? Yes. In Hyderabad also they have taken registration. In Chennai also they have taken registration. Both the places are belonging to same person under same PAN, but they have to take separate registration. Since they are taking separate registration, these two will be treated as distinct persons as per section number 25. They are treated as distinct persons as per section number 25. As per para number 2, schedule 1, supply of goods or services between related persons even without consideration will qualify as supply. So now what happened is Orange Travels is having a bus. So this bus is going to start from Hyderabad to Chennai. It will start from Hyderabad Orange Travels office. It will go to Chennai's travel office. So now what happened is a bus has started. All the passengers are loaded onto the bus. Now this bus has started from here and it has reached that Chennai location. Now what one GST officer, intelligent fellow, came forward and told us, hey, you both are related person. Bus is a mobile property. Bus fall under good definition. So there is a bus which is supplied between two distinct persons. Here he determined what is the value of the bus. Value of the bus came to 50 lakh rupees, and he told that as per para number 2 schedule 1, this supply of bus will, as this value of the bus will be supply, on that you pay the intelligent fellow. No? See, we have to agree. Similarly, what happened is some other case, VRL Logistics is there. VRL Logistics. So VRL Logistics, same case you take. Hyderabad, they have a place of business. Chennai also he's having a place of business. For both, they have taken multiple registration. Now there is one truck. They have loaded this truck with the goods. This truck is starting from Hyderabad office of VRL Logistics and it is going to this Chennai place of business. Okay, and where the goods will be unloaded. Here also same thing he told. Truck is there, mobile assets, goods, supply of goods between related distinct persons as per section number 25. He determined the value of the truck and he told that will attract GST. Or let us say for example, VRL Logistics is there. See, they have places of business in multiple states. They have a fleet of trucks. They will have multiple trucks and all. Now, in order to get their trucks repaired, they have one service point in Chennai. They have one service point for all the trucks. If they get repaired, they have to bring it to the Chennai, and at Chennai location, they have one repair unit. So now what happened is one truck is there at Hyderabad. Now this truck has undergone some damage. So what they have done is they brought this truck to the Chennai place where the repairs are going to take place. So at that truck, now the truck has come from Hyderabad office to the Chennai place where they will do the repairs, and thus the truck got repaired. Here also what the GST officer, intelligent fellow, told is distinct persons as if a value of the truck he has determined, supply of the goods, pay the GST on that. Will deem it as trouble or not? Too much over interpretation of the provisions or not? So some GST officers have started harassing. Government gave a circular. because you don't do the overaction, this we will not be treated as supply. Even though your interpretation is good, but this is purely a practical disturbance for the normal persons. So no, for a genuine persons, you are troubling them. So don't do that. This activity will neither be considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services. But the passenger transportation services are there, no, that is supply of service. This goods transportation is happening, no, that is supply of service. On this truck repairs will take place, no, that will be the supply of service. You don't determine the entire value of the truck, entire value of the bus, or entire value of this conveyances as value of supply, and don't harass the people. That's what the circular has been right. So if you see here, interstate movement of various modes of conveyance between distinct persons, including trains, buses, trucks, tankers, trailers, vessels, containers, aircrafts, carrying goods or passengers or both, or for repairs and maintenance, except where such movement is for further supply of the same conveyance. In case if you are moving the conveyance for further supply, say for example, if the same activity is done by Tata Motors here, say for example, in Ahmedabad, they have a plant where they manufacture the cars, factory they have. From factory, they have manufactured some 10 cars, and that 10 cars have come to Delhi, where they will be sold further. Now, if the PO determines the value of the 10 cars and treat it as supply, is that valid? That is valid. If the conveyance is getting moved between distinct persons, where the intention is for making further supply, then you treat it as supply. We don't have any problem. But if you are causing that movement of the conveyance for carrying goods or passengers or for repairs and maintenance, then don't treat them as supply. Understood? So shall be treated neither as supply of goods, not even supply of services, therefore not be leviable to GST. However, applicable CGST, SGST, IGST as the case may be shall be leviable on repairs and maintenance done. On the repairs, GST you impose, but not on the entire value of the truck. More or less the same thing for rigs, tools, spares and all goods on wheels. Now what do you mean by that? Say for example, there is one builder. He will do the constructions in the Chennai also. He will do the constructions in the Bangalore also. So one day at the Chennai side, he is doing some construction. At the Chennai side, he is having one JCB. Now the work for that JCB at the Chennai location is over. Now this JCB has to be used at the Bangalore side. The same builder is doing the construction at Bangalore. At Bangalore side, he has to use that JCB. Now what they have done is this JCB from Chennai, they have moved it to Bangalore. Two different registrations, distinct persons. Once again, here smart GST officer has come. He determined that supply of goods between two distinct persons. What is the value of the JCB he has determined, and he treated it as supply under para number 2 schedule 1, and he started harassing the taxpayers. So then recent, more or less the same logic, whatever logic they have told previously, the same logic they have also told you. Here you don't treat it as for interpretation of the provisions. That's what they have told here. So above circular shall mutandis mutandis apply to the interstate movement of rigs, tools and spares and all goods on wheels, except in cases where movement of such goods is for further supply. If you are causing it the movement for further supply, you treat it as supply. But if it is for other purposes, then it should be neither treated as supply of goods, not even treated as supply of services, and IGST will not be, and GST will not be levied. However, if you are moving for repairs, if you are moving it for renting purposes, on that rental, on that repair, you can collect GST, but not on the entire value of that conveyance. Understood? So this is what regarding non-supply. We have covered non-supply. Rule 3, 6 paragraphs we have covered. We have covered non-supplies under notification, 2 activities we have covered. We have covered non-supplies under circular. Here also 2 activities we have covered. Understood? Shall I proceed further now? So here and there, I think some circulars I have missed out. That circulars I want to explain. Important circular should be there regarding composite supplies only. After that, once I am done with the circulars, then I will then I will come to section number 9. Is circular. Rethreading we are done. Retreading of the tires we are done already. A few things. Okay, this I will do one thing. This I will complete. This is anyhow related to composite supply. So we'll discuss section 8. Now we'll try to discuss section 8 directly. Right, section 7 done. We have covered all the important content from the not all the important. I think we have covered everything. 2 small circulars will be there here. One is donations. Regarding donations, one small circular will be there. If if you have given some donation to the charitable institution, say for example temple is there, you have given one donation, will that be considered as supply of service? Temple has received the consideration, no? Temple has received consideration, but what you are receiving in return? You will say, sir, I have done a good deed, sir, I will get punyam. Show that punyam. How you will show that punyam here? Exactly. Very good. So that's what even the thing has told. For example, if you have donated some money, just for namesake, for example, you have donated some money here, and using your money, they have installed some water cooler at some religious place or at some charitable institution. On that name board, on that cooler, they have just placed your name board. Will that be considered as supply of services by the institute? Just be displaying your name, will that be considered as supply of service by you? That will not be considered as supply of goods or supply of services. There is no quid pro quo there. But however, if the name is getting published along with your place of business, you are so and so popular in so and so activity, you are having best class products in that category, if like that some advertisement kind of thing is happening, then there will be supply of service by that charitable institution to you. Then there will be treated as supply of services on that GST. Like that, one small circular is there regarding donations. I think you can manage it. I think that's all. Yeah, so now we will try to discuss section number 8. So what is this section number 8? Section number 8 talks about composite and mixed supplies. So two concepts it is going to talk about. One is composite supply and the other one is mixed supply. So first we will try to wind up composite supply discussion. So what do you mean by composite supply? You already have the examples of the composite restaurant service. So you are getting a service, you are paying a single price. For a single price, you are getting more than one supply, more than one good, more than one service, or a combination of goods and services. You are getting it for a single price. So that we basically call it as composite supply. So if I have to read the meaning of the composite supply, they say that when two or more supplies are naturally bundled, are what are not are naturally bundled for a single price, then we call it as composite supply. Like for example, if you say when you go and buy some electronics, one of the most common thing is that electronic persons, whoever sells, he sells the goods, along with that he will also sell warranty, 1 year warranty. So say for example, you are paying 50,000 rupees, you purchased a TV and paid 50,000 rupees. For that 50,000 rupees, he will give you that TV, along with that he will give 1 year warranty also. So for a single price, you are getting more than one supply, naturally bundled or artificially bundled? Naturally bundled. Why? Because it is not something which you are doing it artificially. It is common. Everybody will do it. As a user, you expect it. Whenever you buy the electronics, you generally expect a warranty also along with it. So this we call it as composite supply. Similarly, when you travel on a flight, along with that, food also will be provided to you. Say for example, you paid some 20,000, you are traveling to some. So the airline company, Indigo Airlines, you have booked a flight. So that Indigo Airlines, they have provided you the transportation of a passenger. Along with that, they are also offering you some food there. For a single price, you are getting passenger transportation services, food also getting supplied. Naturally bundled or artificially bundled? Naturally bundled. Why? Because every airline company will do it. As a user, we expect that. And out of that, two things, one is prominent. We are getting more than one supply. One is principal supply. You tell me, what is principal supply? Food is principal supply, or traveling is principal supply? Traveling is principal supply. The services, the activities which are clubbed are in such a manner that one is principal, the other one is ancillary. Ancillary in the sense which makes our principal supply enjoy more. We have the food, we can enjoy the travel more. So composite supply, naturally bundled. You go and stay at a hotel. Hotel will give you accommodation. Along with that, they will give you complimentary breakfast. So for a single price, you are getting accommodation services and a complimentary breakfast. Naturally bundled, artificially bundled? Naturally bundled. Why? Because every person will do it. As a user, we also expect it. And the services are in such a nature that one is principal, other one is ancillary, and the ancillary one makes us enjoy the principal one in a much better manner. So no. So now a question has come, sir, in case of all this composite supply, say for example, this one only, 50,000 rupees you have paid, you got a TV along with a 1 year warranty. Warranty is a service. Warranty services attract 12% of GST. TV attracts 18% of GST. So this 50,000 rupees should be taxed at which rate? Similarly, hotel accommodation. You went to the hotel, stayed there. Hotel accommodation services attract 18% GST. Food you are getting, that will attract 5% GST. What should be the price? What should be the rate of GST? What section 8 has clarified is, in case if an activity has been classified as composite supply. And what is the thumb rule for coming under composite supply? natural bundling. If the services are naturally bundled, if the supplies are naturally bundled, it will fall under composite supply. Once it fulfills the criteria of composite supply, the entire value of the supply should be taxed at the rate which is applicable for principal supply. For the principal supply, whatever rate of tax is applicable, the same rate of tax should be collected for entire value. Clear? So here, if I am collecting 50,000 rupees, entire 50,000 rupees will attract the GST at the rate of 18%. Understood? Coming to another one, mixed supply. Another one, mixed supply. Say for example, in the mixed supply, I will give you one Diwali gift package example. So Cadbury is selling one package. Diwali pack it is selling. So they have one gift box in which there are 4 compartments. In one part they have chocolates, in one part they have sweets, in one part they have dry foods, in one part they have kept the crackers. They are selling this Diwali pack. Now this entire pack they are collecting 2000 rupees. 1000 rupees they are collecting. Here also for a single price you are getting more than one supply. But this is not something which is naturally bundled. Each of the product can be sold separately. And in all these products, tell me what is the principal supply? In these 4, can we determine what is the principal supply? See, in a family, if there is a kid, for a kid, crackers could be a principal supply. If there is an elderly person, sweets could be a principal supply. If some other person is there who likes to eat the chocolates, for them, the chocolate could be the principal supply. So here multiple supplies are clubbed together into single supply, of which none of it is a nature of principal supply. So that means these are not naturally bundled. They're all artificially bundled. If they are artificially bundled, if they don't qualify it as if they don't qualify it as mixed composite supply, then we call them as mixed supply. So now, what is the taxability of the mixed supply? What will be the rate of GST? So section 8 has clarified the entire value supply should be taxed at the rate which is the highest among all its constituents. Like say for example, chocolates attract 5% of GST, sweets attract 12% of GST, dry fruits attract 18% of GST, crackers attract 18% of GST. So the majority. Say for example, crackers attract 28% of GST. So now this entire 2000 rupees should be taxed at the highest rate among all. What is that? 28%. That 2000 rupees should be taxed at the rate of 28%. Understood? See, the only thin line of difference, whether it is a natural bundling or it is a artificial bundling, that is a thin line of difference. Sir, how can we decide it? There are some general rules which you can follow. General rules. What are that general rules to decide? If it is a perception, you can decide it on the basis of perception of the consumer behavior. Like generally consumers expect them as a package, like TV and warranty, accommodation along with the breakfast. So these are perception. The customer generally expects this as a package. If the customer's perception is like that, then you can treat them as naturally bundled. Or it is an industry practice. Majority of the service provider do the same activity. Then also we can classify it as naturally bundled. Or it depends on the nature of the services. Nature of the services means, as I have told, multiple services you are getting. One is principal, other one is ancillary, which will make us enjoy the primary service much better. And similarly, or other indicative indicators, like if they're collecting single price, you can't sell them separately. You can sell them at a single price only. Generally they are getting advertised as a package, unavailable separately once again, and integral to the overall supply. So these are some suggestive practices by which you can decide whether you can whether they are naturally bundled or artificially bundled. See, sometimes what will happen is, one more important thing, sometimes happen is, right, see here, you look at this example. uh, Dum Electronics has sold the following electronic items to Akbar retail store. Refrigerator 500 liters taxable at 18%, stabilizer for refrigerator taxable at 12%, LED television taxable at 12%, split air conditioner taxable at 28%, stabilizer for air conditioner at 12%. Dum Electronics has issued a single invoice indicating price of each of the above items separately in the same. Akbar retail store has given a single check for 1 lakh rupees for all the items as a composite discounted price. State the type of supply and tax applicable in this case. Is neither a composite supply nor a mixed supply. Why? Why? Because each of the item price has been separately mentioned. So if the price for each item has been separately mentioned, apply the rate of GST for each item separately. That applicable rate only you multiply it. Why to treat it as composite supply and mixed supply when cost is indicated separately? Clear? So sometimes like this also they will ask a questions. So only when they are bundled, when they are getting sold for a single price, then we will have a question of either composite or mixed. When price has been quoted separately, there is no question of treating it as a composite or mixed. Right. Okay, so this is what regarding section number 8. We'll talk about circulars. So what is it, circular? First we will talk about printing related issue. We'll try to discuss. Very important. Majority of the times they have tested this question. So say for example, I'm an author. GST book is, so I have a PDF copy, want to publish. Or say for example, there is one publisher. We have this authors, no? Authors will sell their rights to publisher, like Penguin Publishers, all we have. So either I'm an author, I myself have the copyright, or I have given that to the publisher. But they have to print that books, no? They have to print that books. Say for example, there is now what I'm doing is I'm giving the content to him. Now what this publisher should do is he should print the books. And for printing the books, he will use his own paper. He will only supply me the paper. Along with that, book covers, pins, gum, stationery, all that also will be needed, no, to print that books. So I am giving the content either as an author or as a publisher. I am giving the content to the printer. Now the printer is printing that books. Along with the printing, he is also supplying a lot of materials also to me. So no, say for example, this printer has asked me 10 lakh rupees for the purpose of printing. So for the 10 lakh rupees, he is doing the printing service for me. Whatever content I have given, that printing service he is giving to me. Along with that, he is also supplying various goods. Like what? Paper, cardboards, pins. So that also he is supplying. So for a single price, I am getting a printing service also. I am getting the goods also. Now a question came before the GST authority. Should it be treated as supply of printing services or should it be treated as supply of stationery goods? GST department has clarified that in this particular issue, this entire 10 lakh rupees will be considered as supply of printing services. How it will be treated as supply of printing services. You have to, you're an author or you're a publisher. You are only giving the content to printer. Printer is using own material and printing the books and giving it back to you. Is making a composite supply. Now whether it will be treated as printing service or supply of stationery goods, the government has clarified it will be treated as supply of printing service. One more clarification also they have given. Say for example, I'm a chartered accountant. I want a letterhead. On the letterhead, I want my logo. I gave the logo to the printer. And I told I want letterheads. On that letterheads, I want this logo. Or I need envelopes. Envelopes we have, no, that postal envelopes and all. I want that envelopes. On that envelopes also, I want my logo to be printed. So I gave the logo design to this printer. Now this printer will supply me letterheads. He will supply me envelopes or whatever it is, that stationery material along with my logo on it. Here also he is only providing the material. Along with that, he is also doing a service of printing of logo also. Say for example, I ordered for 100 envelopes. He told 10,000 rupees. He will give me envelopes along with the logo printed on that. Now what it should be treated as? It be treated as printing service or supply of that goods. Here the GST department has clarified it should be treated as supply of goods. Because logo printing is minimal there. Supply of goods is predominant there. Able to understand? In case of printing of books and all, printing service. In case of envelopes, letterheads and all, supply of. Next. Food supply to patients and all, this is relating to exemption. We ignore it. Bus body building. So what is this bus body building? Is when you go and buy the bus, for example, Bharat Forge, it is a company manufacturing the buses. So if you go and buy the buses, so basically you will get something bus like this. You will not get the complete bus. You get bus something like this. So there will be some people to whom you have to take this bus. Now what these people will do is this structure they will convert like this. But they will add that material, whatever irons, but seat covers, everything they will do. Along with that service also they will go. Now whatever service they are providing, that we call it as bus body building activity, we call it. And in this bus body building activity, goods are also involved, service are also involved. how it should be treated. Supply of this, what you can treat it as para number 3 of schedule 2, which says treating or performing an activity on others goods. Treating or performing an activity on others goods, so this will be treated as supply of services. Bus bodybuilding activity will be considered. Pre-trading I have already explained. Food and beverages in cinema halls, this is also very simple. See, when we go to the movie, so we generally have the canteen there. Okay, see, here there is said two things. You are booking a combo ticket. Generally in multiplex theaters we get a combo ticket, no? Say for example, if you just want to go and watch a movie, 300 rupees ticket. If you go to the restaurant, if you book a combo where you get two, you get access to the movie, along with that canteen food also you will get. 500 rupees you have paid and bought it. So now for that 500 rupees you are getting services of exhibition to a cinematographic film, which attracts 18% of GST. For that 500 rupees you are getting food also, which will attract 5% of GST. Now this 500 rupees should attract GST at what rate? 18% applicable, in case if you are buying a combo ticket. Now say for example, you purchase normal ticket, 300 rupees of ticket you have purchased, and on the 300 rupees 18% of GST has been collected. You did not buy the combo ticket. During the interval, you went to the canteen, purchased a food and ate that food. Say for example, at canteen you have spent 300 rupees. On that 300 rupees, what rate of GST? 5% applicable. Is getting sold as a combo. Then it will be either generally mixed supply you can say, or even you can say composite supply. Anything you say 18% only will come. Why? Because if you say it as composite supply, what is the principal supply? Movie, 18%. If you say it is a mixed supply, whichever attracts highest. So whatever you say, composite you say, mixed you say, 18% only will come. However, if you go and have the food separately, that is independent. Movie exhibition is separate, canteen is separate. So if you go and have the food separately on that canteen bill, 5% of GST applicable. Yeah, that's all I guess. Shall we do some questions now? I should be tired here. Why are you tired? My time is still 8. Okay. What are the questions we have? Let us see. Meghraj and Co wishes to commence the business of supplying. Come on, guys, participate. So Meghraj and Co wishes to commence the business of supplying ready-made garments within Punjab and in the neighboring states of Delhi and Haryana. Kindly state as to what is the taxable event under GST. Straightforward question. What is the taxable event here? Now, if you look at this question number 2, Damodar Private Limited, registered in Delhi, is planning to transfer some goods to its branch, which is registered in West Bengal, without any consideration, so that the goods can be sold from the branch. The company believes that the transaction will be undertaken by it would not qualify as supply and no consideration. Do you agree? Why? Reference. Para number 2, schedule number 1. Supply of goods or services between distinct persons as per section number 25 will qualify as supply even without consideration. Section number 7, subsection 1, clause C. This is a straightforward question. Prithvi Associates is engaged in supply of taxable goods. It inquires from its tax advisor as to whether any activity can be treated as supply even if made without consideration. Will there be any activity which will be considered as supply even without consideration? Yes, you have to write all that 4 paragraphs under schedule number. Composite supply is treated as supply of that particular goods or services which attracts highest rate of tax. Do you agree with that statement? No. Why? Because composite supply will attract rate of GST which is applicable for principal. Transfer of title and or possession is necessary for a transaction to constitute supply of goods. What do they say here? In order to constitute as goods, either transfer of title and or possession is necessary, not required. No, in some cases even ownership can get transferred at a later date also. Then also we call it as supply of goods only. Already covered. Deca manufacturers have a factory in Delhi and depot in Mumbai. Both these establishments are registered in respective states. Finished goods are sent from factory in Delhi to Mumbai depot without consideration. Supply, no, 7 steps. straightforward question. I don't want to do it. It's also a straightforward question. The goods supplied on higher purchase basis will be treated as supply of services. So agree with that? B, supply of 11 I have called. This is what Manikaran, a registered supplier of Delhi, has supplied 20,000 packages at 30 each to Mukhija gift shop in Punjab. Each package consists of 2 chocolates, 2 fruit juice bottles, and a packet of toy balloons. Tell me, composite or mixed? Mixed supply. So GST rates also given. Which what will be the GST rate applicable? 18%. Gagan Engineering Private Limited, which is registered in Haryana, is engaged in providing maintenance and repair services for heavy steel machinery. For carrying out the repair work, Gagan Engineering Private Limited sends its container trucks equipped with items like repair equipments, consumables, tools, parts, etc. from Haryana workshop to its own repairing centers located in other states across India where the client's machines are being brought and are being repaired. Discuss the leviability of GST on the interstate movement of trucks from the workshop of Gagan Engineering Private Limited in Haryana to its own repairing centers located in other states. Not a supply or supply? Why not a supply? Circular, very good. When you are moving the conveyance for the purpose of carrying the tools and all, then you can't treat that conveyance value as supply, you can't treat it. But however, whatever repairs, whatever consumables that are getting supplied, that you can treat it as supply. Sarvana and Sons wishes to start supplying alcoholic liquor for human consumption in the state of Tamil Nadu. Therefore, it applies for license to the Tamil Nadu government for selling liquor for which the state government has charged specified fees from it. Not a supply. Why not a supply? By way of notification. We have read one notification where they have told granting of license for alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Things which require my attention. Let me see. Mr. Sonu from Chandigarh purchased a water cooler from Malhotra Brothers of Hoshiarpur for 25,000 to donate it to a temple situated in Hoshiarpur. Mr. Sonu directed Malhotra Brothers to engrave the words on the water cooler donated by Mr. Sonu from Chandigarh and dispatch the water cooler directly to the temple. Transactions are there here. Things are there. Here there is a person, Mr. Sonu. Okay. What Sonu is doing? He purchased a water cooler from whom? Malhotra Brothers. That water cooler he is giving as a donation to temple. Now Malhotra Brothers, they have sold a water cooler to Sonu. Will that be considered as supply? Yes. Why? Because goods are there, sale is happening, consideration is there in the course or furtherance of the business. Now whatever donation Sonu has done to the temple, that is not a supply. Why? Because there is no quid pro quo. Name was engraved. What was engraved? Just donated by Sonu. Well, that is that in the nature of marketing? It is not giving any business name, what are the products and all, no explicit advertisement. No. So donation, name is engraved, but there is no explicit publicity. So it cannot be treated as supply. There is no quid pro quo. Good. Vesco Limited, a registered person in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, having head office located in Singapore, received management consultancy services free of cost from its head office. Code of services. System. With consideration or without consideration? Without consideration. Then what we need to check? From whom? From a related person or establishment outside India. Is it so? Is it so? Yes. From an establishment outside India. Then what we need to check? In the course or furtherance of business, not in the course or furtherance of the business. How you will decide that? Management consultancy services. They will always be in the course or furtherance of business only. It will be a supply. As per section 7 subsection 1 clause C. question number, all some removed concepts. There are questions in the past examinations, past MTPs and all. Some questions might not sound reasonable with you. You might feel like you have not heard anywhere because they are not in. For the recent version, whenever they have released the material, no, so many circulars they have removed actually. Circulars they have removed that you can ignore. Some questions, if you don't find them familiar, leave it. Okay. So all guys, supply we are done successfully. Don't go. I'm not. How many? Very little layer. Also are there. If you ask me, but with the last word, are not has changed. GST returns one small change. They used to say B2C supplies more than 2,50,000 invoice wise. That was changed 1 lakh. No claim bonus. No claim bonus is there already. It's already there. No claim bonus is there in the old case also. Fine. Let me stop here.